Yo, what's good?
What's up, Daniel? What's up, my man?
The
Welcome,
hold
welcome.
up.
Brother, I just got to my new house. My studio's not even ready yet, so we're out here
Ooh,
in the beautiful sunlight. This is nice out.
is that Puerto Rico?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And yeah, that's dope. How's isn't there like a tax break or something over there? Like it's good for business owners to be there?
Oh yeah. No income.
Yeah.
That's 4% income tax and 0% capital gains.
Mm, damn.
Insane over here. And that's one of the reasons why we got this house over here as well.
Yeah.
But the
Yeah,
studio.
because me and Harry are thinking about that actually is like we're thinking of right when it makes sense, like financially wise,
Mhm.
to go to Bali or somewhere where we could be connected and like experience the fullest life. We're thinking of doing that like ASAP.
Fuck
And
yeah.
yeah,
My buddy goes to Bali all the time. He does e-com. He does drop shipping e-com. And what he does is he goes over to Bali and he always goes to this one gym. It's like a $500 a month gym. And it's actually pretty cool. The reason why he goes to this gym is because yeah, it's $500 a month. Yeah, it's no different than any other fucking gym. But the reason it's 500 bucks is because it's only for like high ticket people in Bali. So all the tech people, all the millionaires of Bali, you all go to this gym. And I was talking to his name is Ed, and I was talking to Ed the other day actually, and he was like, "Yeah, bro, I fucking love it here." I was just talking to this guy that runs Facebook ads as an agency, and this dude maxed out his ad account, in which case he has over 1,000 different clients on his Facebook ad account. Like, imagine that. That's crazy. And
yeah,
he just so happened to meet this dude at the gym. And Evan was like, no way, bro. I don't believe this. So he
yeah.
hung out with him at the cafe after the gym and he showed him it. And I was like, yo, that's crazy. So Bali is definitely a good place to network.
Hmm.
Definitely.
Yeah, and that 500
Especially gyms as
bucks.
well. Especially gyms
Definitely
as well.
gyms and cafes.
Yeah.
I freaking love them. I love doing work at cafes, literally just because of that.
You recommend Bali as a place. You recommend that's a good there's a really good opportunity there. And to get out there ASAP is a good idea.
Absolutely. Brother, even like you know, really wherever you go, there's always those small little circles
Yeah.
at a local Starbucks or at a local gym. There's very high net worth people. But
Yeah.
and it really is wherever you go, but it really does come down to finding those people, finding where those little circles hang out at,
Yeah.
because
Well,
that
especially in wealthy areas, it's one I'm quite lucky because I live in an area just outside of London in England, but I'm lucky because it's quite a nice area, and there's the local gym that I go to. I'm paying about 120 pounds a month, which is about like $170, something like that.
Mhm.
And yeah, man, there's some killers in there who aren't particularly in the spaces that we're in terms of the online space, but they've got business owners in their own right, sort of thing, and they've got a lot of brick and mortar stuff. And yeah, there's a lot of opportunity, man.
These are-
Especially
I'm
the sauna, bro. The best place I've ever been in the sauna is the sauna of these gyms. The sauna, you're right. You're right in their space. So it's not like you. It's so easy to drop a conversation in the sauna.
You know what I realized that most of these millionaires and billionaires absolutely freaking love talking about, and I'm talking about love talking about. They all have infinite amount of money, but they all love talking about health, fitness, and just
Mm,
things that will overall increase their lifespan. So
yeah,
nutrition, health
longevity
hacking,
especially.
body hacking, I mean, supplements, fitness, health. If you're able to generally kind of understand and speak the lingo with that, like you can make some powerful connections. You can really make some
Oh hell yeah! Oh hell yeah!
brother. I was just on the beach the other day and I saw this guy with a laptop on his beach. And I just went up to him, I was like, bro, how do you not get sand on your laptop? How do you not get pissed off with that? How do you not get glares on your screen? And I started talking to this guy
Mm,
literally just about body hacking and really the three main pillars to like living as long as you can. And I think we kind of came down to like, happiness slash love, you know, and then eating right and then working out, staying active. So we had literally
mm,
an hour long conversation. He canceled his meeting because he'd rather talk about this with me, and we end up going to smoke some cigars. But we're like talking for hours and hours. This random guy, and a random millionaire, matter of fact. And I feel as though
Yeah.
I would never have been able to really talk to that guy if I didn't work out, if I didn't know a little bit about health, if I didn't really know about what happiness is and having freedom, it's all those
Yeah.
things you're able to relate with those guys. It's not
100%.
necessarily
Have you heard of the four pillars? There's like health, wealth, spirituality, and relationships.
health.
So that sort of sounds like,
Exactly.
yeah, that's something me and Harry with our agency, we're trying to focus more on that because we notice most people, they focus just on the wealth pillar, but we're trying to look beyond just the business and realize that the business is just a reflection of the business owner. So we're looking at all the four pillars of health, wealth, spirituality, and relationships.
And that shit goes deep, man. It goes into like nootropics for cognitive enhancement, peptides, like it goes into things that are so, because I've been researching this stuff for the past 2 years as a way of being like, how can I get my brain in order so I can work on entrepreneurship? You just kind of come to learn these things over time, right? And yeah, and like I think it's super high leverage for people, especially as you said, like millionaires, people who they've got the money. It's really about everything else, all the other pillars, especially health. Because health is really the main thing of it all, isn't it? Because without health, there's nothing. And
Exactly. And usually when I talk to those people too, like those guys are always looking out for a pitch. They get annoyed about pitches all the time. So sometimes it's even more beneficial to talk to these guys about health, wellness, spirituality, and fitness, rather than to directly go into your pitch, more so to kind of understand them a little bit more, what they might need help with. And then later down the line, maybe form some sort of a business relationship right there. But that's fantastic that you're building your agency based upon those four pillars. And what I really believe, money is great and all, wealth is great and all, but really money, your bank account is really just a high score. Is the way I see it. I really see your bank account is really just your high score to life, your reflection in life, how much you are winning. Because just like you said too, it's not also all about just wealth, you know. Money is just one part of it, but in order really to achieve true wealth, you have to have all those four pillars.
yeah, like all money does is allows you to work fully on self-development, doesn't it?
It's
Really?
exactly.
It
It's
just
like a
allows
tool.
you to have better health and allows you to have better relationships and allows you to have allows you to have more time for to develop yourself spiritually. It's really what money allows you to do, I guess, isn't it?
Like amplification.
Yeah, amplify.
Yeah.
100%.
Fuck yeah, bro. Fuck yeah. Awesome. I mean, but what do you guys want to do today? Do you want to like break down some sort of client acquisition strategies? You guys need help in your business, or do you guys just want to chop it up and talk about health, wellness, spirituality, and fitness?
Daniel, you go first. We got a number of questions to you, brother.
Perfect. Let's go.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so pretty much just chopping it up, just random questions here and there. So first question, we're switching up. We're the podcasters this time. We're asking you now.
Love this.
So when did you start
Put my
with
camera on as well.
when did you start hiring all the VAs? And when did you know that it was time to hire VAs? And was it in your I'm assuming it was in the weaknesses and things that you didn't really want to be handling, right? Because we're considering outsourcing the Google ads because we just don't it's a lot to learn, it's a lot to manage. So we think it might be easier to just outsource it, but we want to know where you are on when to know when.
Give me a quick second. Let me get my AirPods on here so we can you guys a little bit better. Give me a quick second.
Yeah, no
I
worries.
freaking love this question too. It's awesome. So when I started, there we go. Cool. Quick second. This should be good. And turn off my AirPods on here. Mic check. All right, I hear a lot better. Perfect. So when I really started hiring, well, there's kind of two questions in this, because the first question you're talking more so about Google ads, and I think the other one can be answered by just general VA stuff. But in terms of Google ads, you got to understand when you're hiring out a VA and not an expert, because there's a big difference on a VA and an expert. A VA, you might just hire because he's really good at just setting shit up. So when I was running my Google ads, You know, Google tracking, honestly, bro, fucking just hire that shit out. Pay someone $50 because that shit is just so freaking annoying. So 100% if you're doing Google ads, hire that tracking out. Unless you don't know, do it. And the second part with that VA thing is if you're hiring a VA for Google ads, you know, you gotta really understand who you are hiring, because I've hired people for Facebook ads before, and there's generally two types of people. There's one guy that, yeah, he's gonna run it because he's very cheap, maybe like $300 to $500 a month. He's in the Pakistan or he's in the Philippines, and he's just a general VA. But the thing is, he might say he knows how to do Google ads, but Google ads, you know, if the offer doesn't convert, it's just not gonna fucking convert. That's just it. You know, no matter how much money you spend behind that offer, if people aren't willing to fucking buy your shit, they're not gonna buy your shit. So a VA from the Pakistan, a cheap VA from Pakistan, that's 300 to $500. They're not going to necessarily have the confidence to tell you that, hey, your offer sucks and it's not going to convert. I highly suggest that you should change it. They're not going to tell you that. Whereas an expert that's going to probably be around $1,200, maybe all the way even to like $3,000 plus, depending on how much ad spend you're spending within the first month, that person has more experience and more confidence in themselves because they're charging more to be able to tell you, hey, your offer kind of sucks. I do think that we should change it around. So in terms of hiring somebody for your Google ads, you got to ask yourself really first, does my offer convert prior to even running any traffic behind this? Because if I'm about to spend at least $1,000 before I really see some solid traction, am I going to get an ROI out of this $1,000 I'm about to spend on this guy? You know, 1,000 on a manager and 1,000 on ads, very minimum. So what I did when I started this out is I tested out my offer quite literally just using organic content. You know, obviously organic content, you know, it's kind of simple, really testing out your offer, put out as many pieces of content as possible, you know, see what gets the most engagement in terms of what type of video gets the most engagement, and kind of craft your offer from there. But it also goes hand in hand because when you're doing content, it's going to take a lot longer. It's going to take more time out of you, but obviously ads are going to be a lot quicker and it's going to be kind of easier. But if you don't have your offer right, you might throw a lot of money at the window. Obviously, you can test out the offer as well too by running a basic traffic ad, because that's probably going to get the cheapest cost per result, cheapest cost per clicks. And you can run a basic traffic ad, have 3 different offers out, and really test $100 a day, $100, $100 a day, and you can see really kind of what converts the fastest, really quick, based upon what has the best click-through rate. You can test out the offer there. So it kind of does come down to your agency specifically, what type of resources that you guys have. Are you guys looking to be able to just figure out your offer as soon as possible in terms of, hey, just run some traffic behind it? Do you guys want to take your time with it? Do you guys really want to run some content behind it to really triangulate the offer? Or do you already have a converting offer already and ready to go? If you're ready to go with the offer, you know, oftentimes if you're ready to go with the offer, depending on the time you have, you might just want to test this out yourself, you know, because Google Ads is only really a one YouTube video away from learning how to do it yourself. Facebook ads is one YouTube video away from learning how to do it yourself as well too. And I know it might sound crazy because I run that as a service for my clients and I'm saying that myself, but Google and Facebook ads really isn't that difficult to run. What is difficult is figuring out that offer. That's the hard part, you know? So like I was saying before, yeah, you can hire a VA to set up tracking, kind of help you out with a couple of ads real quick. That's perfect because that stuff can be time consuming. But really what you want to figure out is, first, do I have a converting offer? And you really want to figure out is, if you don't have a converting offer, how do I freaking get that converting offer? What do I got to do to get that converting offer? You know?
Yeah, so we've done a bit of testing. We've done like most of we call it like refining. We take what we think is going to work and then we test it out and refine and see what sticks. So we've done most of that just through cold calls, not anything at all through content, but we're starting to sort of switch into the content. And so we're definitely going to take that route to get like advice and start refining our offer. And you also answered like the next question I had perfectly, which is like, do you suggest first understanding these things yourself and then hiring, or just going straight to hiring? And you perfectly answered that.
That's wait, let me answer that real quick as well too, because that's also awesome. When I first started out, you know, I was doing everything myself. And I'm sure you guys are probably doing everything yourselves as well too, if you're starting off like how I was as well. You know, you're making thumbnails, cold calls, you're trying to do at least 100, 200 cold calls a day, while also probably having some sort of other side hustle as well to kind of keep yourselves alive. You know, I was in the same shit, you
Mm,
know, but for me, I was in college. I had to hustle to pay for college, to pay for rent. And what I did is as I worked with a couple of contractors on a performance fee to be able to bring them jobs. In exchange, they would pay me, cash me up. And what I figured, is that when you have to consider how much your time is really worth. Because if you have this other side hustle, this side job, side hustle, whatever it might be, that's paying you $15 an hour, $20 an hour, and that's like your
yeah,
stable income over there. And then you're working at your agency over here, and you want to get this agency obviously to one day replace your other hustle over here as your main go-to thing. You got to consider how much is your time worth. Let's say
yeah,
it's a simple designing. So this is the first thing that I really hired out to a VA, was something as simple as creating thumbnails for my videos. That was probably the first thing I did, because I realized that I went on Fiverr one day and I realized that somebody was charging $5 a thumbnail, and I was like, what? What? I could just get a quick job for this construction company really quick. That's gonna probably pay me 500 to a grand. Why the fuck? That's nothing. That's pennies compared to 500 to a grand. I'd rather focus all my time on just providing my contractors better work than making these graphics for myself. So it really does come along with, how, like, if you were to do that yourself, how much will that cost you in terms of scaling up your agency and in terms of your other day-to-day job that's kind of supporting you as well too.
yeah.
So I
And
hope that answers that.
really quick thing
Mhm.
as well about the kind of the day job, because the way I've gone about this personally is that I work 2 days out of the week. So we work 7 days a week, right? We're grinding 7 days a week. 5 days out of the week's really on the agency. The 2 days, because we're in the home improvement space, I work with my friends. I've been friends with this dude for a long time. But he has his own home improvement sort of business for himself. That
Mhm.
he's grinding his ass off. He's doing all that. But I can't go in and help him out. But the intention there is really to get an inside knowledge of what these businesses are really going through. I mean, even though for him it's like a much smaller scale because he's only doing like 5 grand a month at the moment with his own kind of thing, and he does all the work himself and kind of like a one-man team, which is very different to like how a much
Mhm.
larger organization would do their thing. But the intention there is really like getting that information, that inside information, to really be able to understand these business owners, especially when we're talking to them on these calls, and really being able to like, as you're like getting the lingo and all that kind of stuff, and like being able to kind of resonate with them on a frequency level. And I just wondered what you thought of that as a strategy of like, even whilst you want to make a little bit of money, because I can really understand as well, like we can might find ways, but to make some money, to fund things for the business, but like don't really require much time at all. I mean, that's like ideal, isn't it? Really, that's like really an ideal situation. But I just wondered what you thought about that as a strategy of uh, not like
Understanding the
how high
lingo
leverage.
behind, yeah, understanding the lingo behind the niche you're talking about.
Yeah, yeah, because I guess that's really the intent. Like in terms of the side hustle work that I'm personally doing with my
Mhm.
friend, it's really to get that more of that information of the actual business that we're kind of catering for. And I wonder what you
So
thought about that as like a
what is your side hustle right now?
yeah. So it's basically, so the way I'm making a little bit of money on the side is when I'm working with an old friend of mine, basically doing the home improvement stuff with him. So that's kind of like, yeah, so that's like, getting my hands dirty, all that kind of stuff. You're
Mhm.
doing up houses, doing up houses in Chelsea and Kensington and London. So I'm amongst that kind of area. And he's like this dude's like a good friend of mine for like years. So it's pretty chill. Like the work's pretty chill. But each day I'm with him, it's about 10 hours. And I make sure that whilst I'm with him, me and Daniel have good questions to ask him so that we basically have more inside knowledge of, just more knowledge of the people we're actually catering for. So that when we go
Mhm.
ahead and speak to those guys on the phone, whether it be cold calls or just sending out loads of emails, we know exactly like what these guys need. Um, Even though it may differ between people, because it will change between people, but we know kind of more about just have more of an understanding of like the whole kind of niche within itself, you know?
Yeah, so with contractors, I feel as though there's really two types of contractors. There's that one contractor that just does it to pay for his beer and his rent, and he's good. He's comfortable. He doesn't want to grow anymore. And then I feel like there's the other type of contractor that's a little bit more. No, there's three type of contractors. One that's he's good, he settles, he's fine, whatever, he's comfortable. Second type of contractor is an older guy that's probably been in the business for a long time, maybe does all the work himself, but he is also very old school and does everything through referrals. And I feel like the third contractor is like the actual person that you're gonna most so want to work with. He's a little bit younger generation, maybe 30s to 40s, maybe 28s. And he's the actual guy that kind of he heard about AI, he heard about putting together some systems, maybe he heard about running some ads, but he hasn't really done it before. Those are kind of the guys that you're gonna want to go for. And in terms of kind of understanding the lingo, first of all, you got exactly right. Fucking just do the work. And the more you hang out with them, the more you're gonna understand. The more you're gonna understand that these guys love smoking cigarettes and love fucking cursing.
Oh hell yeah. Bro, he gets me, bro.
You know?
Yeah, he gets through
Bro.
so many, man. It's ridiculous.
Dude,
Yeah, that's funny you said that. That's exactly like the first person you explained, the guy who just does it to be chill and just do it to afford those cigarettes and beer. Like
that's
that's the
it,
type of guy
literally.
that Harry's working with. Yeah.
And there's a majority of contractors are literally just contractors just for that, because you can get a couple quick high paying jobs, you can pay your rent for the month off like one or two jobs, and then they're freaking happy, you know. But we can't go after those people. We got to go after those people that are actually freaking open minded, you know, and really to go after those people that are open minded. You know, those guys are also very, very freaking busy. You know, when I was going after my guys, I immediately noticed that these guys only really had time to talk to me like after work and after work is not normal work hours with these guys. It's always when it's dark. You know, it's not like a typical 9 to 5. If it gets dark at around 8 o'clock or 7 o'clock, then they're done. Or it starts raining, they might go home, you know. So it's always different for them. You got to kind of catch them on those times. But what I was saying is that to really get in contact with these guys, besides hitting the bar, it really comes down. And I've always found the most successful straight up cold calling them or finding contractors that are already on cold calling the contractors that are already on Google My Business, Yelp, or running some sort of Google search ad. Those are the people that I really would hit up, you know. And I don't know how you guys have your offer set up, but I've found with contractors is that they are oftentimes, especially the older ones, are very close-minded. They don't feel as though they should put money out to get more work most of the times. What I always sold them on, and it's a little difficult, and I'll explain why. But what I've always sold my contractors on is more so of the performance basis metric. You know, yeah, maybe you can get them to be able to do the CRM. You know, maybe go high level. Some of them go high level. Maybe you can get them to pay a monthly retainer, maybe $300, which I've gotten a couple of contractors to do. But that's going to take maybe some sort of demo, and it really does take you proving to them, hey, I can get you freaking work. You know, I've always found, and like I mean, before I get into that in a second, before I kind of get too passionate and go ahead myself. But what I'm trying to say is that the people, you have to get them. I found it works best to get them on a performance basis. And when you get them on a performance basis, you do that by actually pre-existingly providing them jobs. So my secret to getting contractors, when I was doing, I still have a couple of contractors that are working for me in Pennsylvania, and I'm working over in Puerto Rico because of it. But the way I've done it is I've always gotten them jobs first, every single time. This has always been success for me. I've gotten a job first, and then I'm like, yo, I'll get you more jobs, but I want 15 to 30%. You know, of any additional jobs I get you. And the way I've gotten jobs is quite literally just going to his community. I'm looking at his community, looking at local Facebook groups around him, and people are always posting, hey, I need an electrician. Hey, I need somebody that does HVAC. Hey, I need somebody that does plumbing. Hey, I need somebody that does roofing, whatever, X, Y, and Z. I call those people up. I lock in those jobs already and be like, I'll call those people up, like, hey, great. I saw that you're looking for a roofer, or I just text those people, hey, I saw you're looking for a roofer. Mind if I quickly put you into a group chat with my partner? We're the absolute best. Here are some previous examples of stuff we've done before. I'd love to give you a quote, whatever. And I put them into actual groups with them. But the way I do this is I would find people that are actually advertising on like Craigslist, advertising on Facebook groups, those contractors that seem like they have enough business, but that are looking for more because they're running
hungry.
ads. They're hungry. They're hustling. They're responding to maybe Facebook comments. They're posting on their they're keeping their Google My Business active. They might not know the full extent of social media, but maybe they got, for my example, and that sounds kind of weird. My contractor, his name was Ray, and I'm still working with him today. I've been working for them for the past 4 or 5 years, but Ray was always on Snapchat, and I don't know why. I honestly, I feel like Snapchat is such like a kid thing, back high school, middle school thing. I don't know why he's on it, but he says he gets some chicks and he gets some jobs, so whatever. But this guy was hungry. He's posting on his Facebook and he was posting on his Snapchat. And so I found him from actually Yelp. I called him up. I was like, "Yo, bro, how's it going, Ray? How are you doing with business? How many clients you kind of getting? Let me tell you what. Screw all that normal pitch. I can guarantee you within the next 2 weeks, I'm gonna get you another 3 jobs. And what I even want to tell you is, I'm not even gonna charge you for them. I'm gonna get you these jobs, and then after that, let's hop on a quick call. Come over to my place. Let's go to the bar. This guy likes smoking weed. Let's smoke a quick blunt, and let's talk about some sort of performance fee that I could charge you, and that you'd be happy with paying me." That's quite literally what happened, bro. Is I found this guy on Facebook. We talked to him like we're talking right now. And I made it very friendly with him. I became his friend. We went to the bar. We went to a couple of freaking strip clubs, bro. I'm being as raw as I can. We literally went to a strip club together after I got him a couple of jobs. And at the club, bro, and this guy's a complete player, right? Chicks around him. But at the club, I negotiated terms with him. In which case, if it's a job, and I don't know the exact, because I can look up my service agreements, but if his job is 10K above, because a lot of roofing jobs typically are, I'm gonna get around 7%. But if his job's 5 to 10K, I'm gonna get around more 15%. But if his job's anywhere a grand below, it's more 25, 30% and above. But all that was literally negotiated at a freaking strip club. Okay. But the reason why I was able to kind of formulate this plan with him, this negotiation with him, was because I found a hustler on Yelp and also on the Facebook groups. I know he's on both, and I called that guy up and I just gave him a couple of jobs. These guys are constantly getting emails every single day. These guys are working every single day until it gets dark, and when it gets dark, all they want to go do is come back home, drink a beer, smoke some weed, and fuck their girl and go to sleep. That's really about it. You know what I mean? They're fucking tired for the day. They don't want to answer emails. They don't want to look at some sort of CRM. They don't want to look at ads. They don't want to look at customer communication. They're like, fuck these people. I'm going to sleep. That's it. And they wake up the following morning and they know they have jobs because they got referrals, and they go to the next job. So the easier it is for you to package that, like literally that, the more successful you're going to be, in a way that they don't have to pay as much upfront. Maybe you get them a couple of jobs, like literally how I said on Facebook groups. That's what worked for me. So that's what I'm telling you guys. Go to Facebook groups, join these local communities, find a couple of HVAC jobs, and it might take you a few, but this is what works. Find a couple of people that need to repaint their house, reseal their driveway, pressure wash, leaf flow, whatever it is, whatever it might be. I find that contractors, general contractors, if it pays good money, they're kind of willing to do just about anything, which is what's really nice about it. But find a couple of small little jobs for them really quick and offer that first, but when you're also offering these performance-based jobs, I made the mistake of really not getting to know the people first. And that's the problem as well, too. Because what I'm kind of suggesting right now is more of a growth partnership, in which case you provide these guys with jobs. You get paid a performance fee. As he grows, you're gonna grow with him. That's kind of a performance model, performance growth partner. But if you're doing it with the wrong people, it's not gonna work. So this guy, Ray, he wants to become very, very wealthy because he loves chicks. He loves going to the club. He loves having fun. It's a perfect guy that needs to work. Whereas another guy, let me give you an example. His name is Henrik. I know I shouldn't be giving names, but fuck it. This guy Henrik, I deal with. This is probably 3 years ago, and I gave this guy a job. He needed to completely redo a deck. Actually, it was a pretty big job. It was like 5K, and I found it literally hustling on the Facebook group. and this guy was out of the service area of where Ray kind of works at. So I was like, this is be perfect, because I'm gonna expand my area of influence. I'm gonna find a couple more other contractors, and I got this perfect juicy steak over here that I'm gonna entice these contractors to work with me, which is a 5K job that is just rebuilding a deck. It's not usually too hard. But I'm gonna use this juicy steak and I'm gonna offer these people so that I can get a couple more people. But what I did is I fucked up because I called somebody off of a Craigslist post. Guy's name is Henrik. I gave this guy this job and it was a total freaking nightmare. I never met the guy. I just did it all over a phone call. And I gave him a service agreement. He signed it, but that doesn't really matter because there's not really much you can do with a service agreement. But this guy, the owner was calling me up. He's like, yo, this guy never shows up. He brings beers to work, which a lot of contractors do, but at least they hide it in the truck or something like that when they're eating for lunch or something like that. But he was like, all complaints and all kind of just being pissed off at me because the owner was mostly calling me because Henrik would never pick up the phone. Long story short, this guy on the last day, I'm like, yo, Henrik, that was a freaking mess. But honestly, bro, I'm just glad you got it done. And the guy wasn't too pissed off. And he was like, you're telling me what to fucking do? You're telling me what to do? This is your job. Like, you're the one doing it. I'm like, bro, wait, first of all, calm down. I just made you 5K. He just paid you. Are you really getting mad at me? I'm just asking you to show up. I'm just asking you to not drink right in front of the guy. And I'm just asking you not to curse at the homeowner. I'm asking these basic, simple things. And this guy, long story short, doesn't work out. So what I'm trying to say is with these contractors, some of them can really be dickheads. Some people can be like, yo, I got my jobs with me. I'm comfortable. I'm fine. I don't need to pay anybody else. You give me jobs, fuck everybody else. And there's dickheads like that. There's a lot of old school dickheads like that. So you really need to, which is why I don't think, and maybe it's working for you, but it didn't really work for me. But I don't think in terms of really cold emailing and cold calling these contractors really to be the best. Because I wanted to scale it up myself when I was doing it. And what I would do is I'd hire like 5 appointment setters. And they're calling after the day. When they call them after the day, it was just pissing them off. And when they're calling them out after, I would schedule up an appointment with them. But oftentimes they would schedule an appointment and they wouldn't really care and they wouldn't really show up to them. So I was struggling with that and I was just throwing money out the window. What I found that really works, and it's a lot slower, is really to actually meet the people in person. So like be laser targeted on your lead qualification. So laser target somebody that looks like they want to hustle. They're going in Facebook groups. They're using Yelp. Maybe they're posting on their social media all the time. That's a freaking hustler. He looks like he's hungry for clients. He might be spending a little bit of money on Yelp. He might be spending a little bit of money boosting a couple of Facebook ads. Doesn't really know what he's doing though. His ads doesn't really look kind of like junk. Like he made himself really quick. He might be spending a little bit of money on Google calls because Google called him up one day and told him to do so. Because he has a $500 free ad credit. He might be doing the basics, but he's hustling and he doesn't really have time to do that. And those people, what they're really looking for, like I said, is they're looking for not necessarily more jobs, even too. They're not even looking for more jobs because oftentimes that's it. That's the golden buzzer right there, bro. They're not looking for more jobs. They're looking for systems to kind of save them times and also for them to be more selective on the jobs that they take because they don't want more $100, $200, $300 jobs. They're looking for just high ticket jobs every single day. So if you can kind of position yourself as the go-to guy that can get these guys that you can book out a calendar of just high ticket jobs and they can be like, yo, I want this one, and I want to schedule out for this day, whatever. If you can kind of open up a library to them where it's just a plethora of jobs and they can go in there and be like, I want this one for this week, bro, that's golden. So if you can kind of develop this system, and I built mine out through Google My Business and through my Facebook group communities. That's how I built mine out. In which case I put like virtual assistants on there to post events or in trust of the community so that people are more willing to be able to put up posts looking for contractors. If you're able to position yourselves as that that go-to job source where contractors can just go in the morning, wake up in the morning and see their pipeline like, yo, I got 10 jobs over here. I'm just gonna pick this $1,000 job over here. I'm gonna call up the guy, and I'll show up today and get the job done today. Quick grand in my pocket. If you can do that, then we're the most
Bro.
happiest people in the world.
That's funny because we were talking to James, the guy who employs Harry, and this is exactly what he painted out to us. It's like if he just had a system that was completely organized, he could just look at it and save time just by looking at it and having it so perfectly organized.
Yeah.
That's the vision we have in mind. So that's perfect that you said that.
Yeah, because he's wasting all his time calling these people, and he's just like, trying to negotiate this, that, and the other, and especially people in London, they just fucking it's difficult, right? And there's so much fluff and there's so much friction. I like to say it is friction, right? I guess one of the main things here is like, how can we make this frictionless, completely frictionless, to the point where they save all that time. And I love that you said, I love you confirmed with us about the time saving thing, because we were thinking about that. Like, they wouldn't want, especially in this niche, most of them don't really want more work. They just want higher ticket work. And
Exactly.
because they just want to chill. They just want to chill. They want to get higher ticket work. They want to work kind of less, but for more money. And then, and then sort of like just chill and do whatever they want after they finish that sort of stuff. And yeah, so it's really that time saving.
What would you say about YouTube for this? Because it seems like that's a place where these people would be, the people who are hungry, they would be actively searching, like, how do I do this? And if you could leverage that, do you think
Let me explain. I love that, bro. I love how you said that too. Because what I did is I was working with contractors. I had them all in performance. I still have them on there. But then I wanted to work more so on credit because I wanted to learn more so about how credit really works, how I can leverage that shit. So I was like, fuck it, let's go into the credit repair niche. What I did is as soon as I went to the credit repair niche and I was posting videos on there, I tried everything out, Hey, Google my business, emails, text messages, hustling on Facebook groups, X, Y, and Z. And I immediately noticed that every single credit, by just putting out content and just working for a couple of credit repair companies for free, I immediately realized every single credit repair company wants to run Facebook ads. Immediately, right at the back. And because of that, and I'm sure you can imagine what I'm saying next, all I did was I just made videos on how to run Facebook ads for credit repair companies. That's literally all I did. And I just kind of add a couple of variations to the titles and descriptions. I made sure my SEO is really on point in accordance to exactly what credit repair companies are probably searching out. How do I get more credit repair clients using Facebook ads? How do I optimize my Facebook pixels so I can get more credit repair clients? And I just really honed in on that specific thing. And then what I did from there is I brought them over to 2 offers. Well, 3 actually. Call Me Now. The second one was Get the CRM. And the third one was a cheap 2-week challenge, which I'm actually reopening pretty soon. And because I had these 3 different things, $47 thing, the CRM over here, CRM plus Snapshot, which was $197 a month. This is $47. And the call, I'll sell them to $1,000, all the way up to $5K. Having those 3 different products, and putting out content exactly like that, bro, I was getting sales every single day. And at that time, I only had like 500 subs. I literally only had 500 subs, but because my SEO was so on point and because nobody else was really making videos that in detail, showing exactly how I did it for my credit repair clients I was working for free. And I was literally screen sharing exactly my Facebook ad so people can see it. And I would make it like a fucking 40-minute to an hour-long video and spilling my guts, showing exactly how it worked. As if a credit repair company was watching my video right now, they would know exactly how to get the results I would get just by watching that 40-minute video. Because I made it because I put everything on the table, I showed all my cards on the table, just about every single person, and I wasn't really getting a lot of views. I was getting 10 to 20 views of a video, to be honest, guys. But the people that would watch those videos were all buyers. They were all buyers. I want to say out of 20 people that would watch that video, I want to say 7 to 10 people of those would actually buy my shit. 500 subscribers
as well, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. 500 subs, bro. I probably had 350 people buying my shit. You know what I mean? And then
Mm.
because I would put people into a community, my Facebook group community or my Discord, or because I would have virtual assistants following up with them, because I have emails, because I have text messages, because I have my YouTube channel, because of my Instagram, my Facebook, so content everywhere is what I'm trying to say. Content literally everywhere. People say statistically they need to see on average of 7 times before they buy shit from you. Because I had content everywhere. Some people might want to watch an Instagram short. Some people might want to watch a newsletter. Some people want to watch a blog post. Some people want to do X, Y, and Z. Because I had content everywhere, I had options for everybody. I had pricing options for everybody. So I was kind of able to kind of grab everybody and make sure I take every single one of those subscribers, everybody that was interested in potentially buying something from me. I had a way that they could watch my stuff, and I had an easy way for them to buy from me. With easy pricing plans, that was easy for everybody. So in terms of contracting, fuck yeah, do it. I don't necessarily know the exact offer you would offer on those YouTube videos. I don't know exactly what contractors are searching up on YouTube, but you can always look at Google Trends. You can always look at past popular videos, competitors as well too, and straight up just asking contractors, contractors that you're talking with. And I can guarantee you guys, if you go to a bar, I want to say like 50% of people that are at bars on a Friday night are probably contractors. Probably contractors excited to rant to somebody about how tough their day has been. So let them speak to you. Tell them exactly what they're ranting about. But like, yo, what are you ranting about? What sucks in your life right now? What do you guys need? What do you guys looking up? What are you guys learning to how to do? What do you guys want to learn how to? You want Google Ads better? You want to learn how to set up your Google My Business better? You know what they need. You guys know exactly what they need. But it's a way of mixing, like, they need a better Google My Business. They need Google search ads. They need like a Facebook group community. They need back-end automations to tie it all together. That shit. They don't. But they want something specific. And oftentimes, I made a video about this yesterday. Oftentimes, what they need is not what they want. They're willing to pay for what they want. They're not willing to pay for what they need. They need Google search ads. They need a better Google My Business, but they're not going to pay for that shit. They might be willing to pay for X, Y, and Z, but you got to figure that one out. You really got to figure that one out.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting as well. Really quickly, I'll just mention. It's really interesting that you mentioned leveraging in real life communication. Seeing if you can speak to these guys in real life instead of kind of just doing the whole thing online in terms of things like cold calls can kind of lead to an in-person reaction, in-person meeting, but it's like leveraging meeting them in person.
And Blade, you said this once, Blade. It's like these big companies they have a fat stack of resumes on their desk, and a cold call is the equivalent of just hoping for the best. If you want to if you want to stick out, you got to do something different. And actually, just talking to these guys in real life, that's different. Yeah. And I just wanted, this leads perfectly into the next questions. Is like, you sort of covered this, but what is your system for maintaining those consistent and quality posts? And also, how long did it take your YouTube to sort of start gaining traction? And when did you like recognize it as a sustainable or reliable source of leads?
It was during coronavirus. It was when I really started hammering down on a lot of credit per videos. Because I made like 1 or 2 sales prior to it, selling a credit per course, and I was stunned. It was a $47 product. No, it was a $7 product. I got them on a call. The entire point of the funnel was sell a $7 product, which sold a couple of ad graphics, presentation, and something else. But the entire point of it was really to get them on a call. And I got this guy on a call, and he saw my video, and I was like, yo, I got this snapshot a snapshot and a course that'll teach you how to run Facebook ads based upon my past experience. And this guy bought this $997 thing without any hesitation. He really just bought it just like that. And like, it was honestly, it might have been like a 30-minute call close. I mean, it might seem a little bit longer, but what I'm trying to say is that I was so surprised that this guy was just willing to pay $1,000 for a quick course and my CRM snapshot. So surprised. One of my biggest amount of monies I made previously to this date. Well, not to this date, previously. And what I did is I kind of honed in on what worked. I realized that, getting somebody into a call, all it just required was me just doing more of what is already working. I already knew that this upsell right here is working. I knew that the $1,000 product was working, and I knew that my YouTube channel was also working. So I remember I was making 10 videos a day just about this shit, and I remember out of putting 10 videos a day, I made like in 2 months I made like 40 grand during coronavirus. You know, just closing these guys off of maybe a month and a half off the credit repair snapshot and my course. And I was so surprised about that. I never thought that would ever be possible, you know? And I feel as though what really allowed me to do so was, and I sometimes I screw up on even on this today, I still do, is focusing solely on what works rather than seeing something else and kind of being so abrupt to pivot.
Is that
It's kind of
shiny
hard to
object syndrome? Would you say shiny object
yes,
syndrome?
yes, exactly. Because sometimes you have something that's kind of going good, and it's a system. Every single time you put out a YouTube video, you're gonna sell a freaking course. It's going good, but then you start worrying about like what I literally was talking about 10 minutes ago, appointment setters. I hired 5, 10 appointment setters, and then month 3, I realized that my sales went from like 20 sales a month to like 5 sales. And that wasn't necessarily because I was doing something wrong, but it was because I was focusing more so on appointment setters and less time putting out content, because I was focusing on a completely new thing that I was just kind of breaking into because other people were telling me that, yo, I have this crazy call center, I'm making 100K every single month. It's fucking amazing. But because I was listening to that, I kind of pivoted on something thinking that it'll blow my shit up rather than just focusing on just filming more fucking content because it fucking works. I followed the shiny object, and I realized my sales would plummeting. So I had to kind of revert and go all the way back to doing what was working. Filming just more freaking content. You know,
And this is another question we actually already had typed up is what are your indicators to know you're on the right track? And not only when it's working successfully, but more so like for something like YouTube, you were doing it probably for a couple months before it really started to show results. So how did you know to keep going with that thing? Was it like an intuitive soul feeling or more of a logical result based thing?
no, to be honest, honestly, what kept me going was I'm very stubborn, and I feel as though as an entrepreneur, you 100% need to be stubborn, and you 100% need to know that you deserve the best. Us as entrepreneurs, we quit our 9 to 5 to work 25/8. We literally quit our jobs, our stable income of whatever it might be, that can keep us comfortable for the rest of our lives, working minimally 5, 8 hours a day and just be comfortable. But we don't do it to be comfortable. We do it because we know we deserve the freaking best. We know that we just saw this guy pull up to this cafe in a Ferrari, and we realized, yo, how the fuck could I get a Ferrari working a 9 to 5 and only making 50 grand a year? That just doesn't make sense to me, And I feel like this is like a little Andrew Tate lesson over here. I feel like I heard a short just about this before, but like that just does not make any sense. And then, you know, you see these people on Instagram all the time selling courses and stuff. And I saw that, I was like, I got to be able to do this, and I made that, it didn't really, to be honest, it didn't take too long for me to really make my first sale on YouTube. My first sale, like I said, was $7, and I realized that might have made like 20 videos prior to making that first sale of $7. But I realized I made this one sale of $7 and I was asleep. I woke up to it. I woke up and I saw my PayPal, as I wasn't using Stripe at the time. That was $7 more than I had before. And I was like, okay, cool. How can I add a 0 onto the 7? And I did. And I fucking did. The next month, I figured out how to add a 0 to that 7. And the next month, I was like, all right, cool, $70. How can I add another 0 to that? And yeah, it wasn't as easy, it never freaking is. But I did. I added another zero to that fucking $70, 700. Now, like, bam, how can I add another zero? And I keep on going, keep on pushing. And that really does come along to, and I had a conversation with the guys actually before, is like, are you born an entrepreneur? Or are you kind of made an entrepreneur? I don't really know what it is. I can't really explain that. But I do know the fact that when I was in high school, I had to win every single track meet. I had to win every single wrestling match. I had to always be the freaking best. When it came to even school, I didn't like school at all, but I had to be the best in math class. I had to be the best in history. I sucked at history, but and I would get like C's and B's, but I would fucking try my fucking hardest because I just wanted to be the best. I wanted, because my history teacher would do something pretty smart. He would put the top performing people that did on tests on the very top of the board. And I wanted to be in the top of the board every single day. But even though in history class I never fucking was, math class I always was. I love math, but I always wanted to be one better than everybody else. And when I was running track, you know, everybody would stop at the end of the day. Everybody would stop at the end of the day, but I would go to the gym for another 2 hours. During my summer, I see everybody at the beach running. I mean, you see everybody at the beach having a good time. In the summers, I was training. I would run 10 miles. I would swim on the beach or on the lake next to me, and I'd swim 2 miles. Then I'd go to the gym for another 2 hours. All that, and then I'd finally eat dinner because I had a fast before that. So it's not necessarily because it's very unpredictable. That first sale, that first good milestone that you're gonna hit is super unpredictable, and you don't know if you're gonna get that first milestone, that first real win, if it's a month or if it's a year down the line. You're not gonna know that, but you are gonna get it. You really are gonna get it as long as you're fucking dedicated. As long as you yourself know that you deserve to have that win. As long as you yourself know that you are responsible for like your own destiny.
I guess it's like probabilities as well, right? Because everything you do in terms of your inputs of, how you, I guess with health, right? How you take care of yourself, how you take care of your brain, how you actually structure your day, so you're able to keep doing the thing day by day. This increases that probability level, you would say.
Yeah.
That
And
probability
this
level.
is something Hormozy talks about is out outputs or outcomes are never guaranteed. It's just like a imaginary thing, but an input, how much you're willing to sacrifice to get that output, that's guaranteed. So your goals should never be around the outputs. Like it's important to have an end goal and all that, but the actual actionable steps should be inputs.
That's the only thing you can control. It really is.
Yep.
And I think that's so interesting as well too, in terms of kind of control. I feel like that's the most powerful thing that we have ourselves, is the ability to have our own control over our own bodies. And I feel as though 90% of the world doesn't understand that. Society is always telling us that, you're from day one when you're in school, you're put in rows. You had to ask a question, raise your hand to go to the bathroom. You're always put into this mentality based upon social media and society that it's okay to be less. It's okay to play the victim. It's okay to kind of label depression, anxiety, all this other stuff. We all get that shit. We all get anxiety. We all get stressed. We all get anxious. We all feel overwhelmed. We all get depressed. But none of that stuff really moves you forward. I feel as though
they do this on purpose, man. I feel like in schools they do this shit on purpose because they don't realize.
Oh yeah.
It's so orchestrated. It feels so awkward. It is so orchestrated. They don't. What if everyone was an entrepreneur? And again, it kind of goes back to Andrew Tate's episode. It's like if everyone was an entrepreneur, everyone was a business owner, everyone knew, because you're really going about everything in your life with the limited knowledge that you have at the time. If everyone knew exactly what to do, and everyone knew exactly how to frame their mind in a way in which they knew they were limitless, right? Well, then there wouldn't be a social hierarchy order of life that we see. And it's kind of weird. It's why me and Daniel, we like spiritual books. We like books that kind of teach you how to control your energy, how to control you, yourself, in order to manifest, or whatever you like to call it, your sort of outcome
reality.
yeah, your reality. That's why I recommended the book Reality Transfer thing, which is, for me personally, it's been a really, really useful book. We all kind of have our own things, our own ways of kind of like doing that. And do you feel like for yourself, that whole concept of really delving quite deep into that side of things, into the spiritual side of things, you feel like that's really helped you like just really understand for yourself that like I am a limitless person and I can do anything that I set my mind to.
What keeps you guys pushed? What keeps
Well,
you guys
actually,
going?
so here's the
I want to
thing. So
know.
actually, I wanted to mention this. So I looked into this a little bit because I believe a lot of business, a lot of this game is psychology, right? It's like kind of manipulating your own psychology and figuring out, okay, what motivates you. I looked at the four M's. I watched a Ty Lopez video about the four M's, the four motivations. So there's material things, mating, and relationships. So those are the guys who kind of go around getting women around and this, that, and that. Movement / freedom. And then what's the last one? Mastery / status. So out of the four, for me personally, it's movement / freedom. Like that's like the idea of being able to move anywhere at any time, at any place. It's like no one can tell me where to go, what to do. Like I'm able to dart around anywhere, not confined in one space. Personally, for me, that's a motivation. That's an inner drive that is above all others. The other ones are motivated. We're all motivated by like a plethora of things. But that's like the overarching thing where everyone, when someone asks you that question, like, what are you motivated by? I'm like, freedom, just freedom, being able to move, being able to constantly be in the places that you want to be in. And I guess it's different for different people. But would you agree that that's those four things that I mentioned are kind of like overarching motivations that are like everyone kind of, if you were to kind of group them, sort of thing.
Yeah, to be honest, I think you got like spot on there. You call them the four M's. I think we called it something different before, like spirituality, fitness,
Oh yeah, the four
wealth,
pillars.
the four pillars. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're kind of very similar to there. And I truly believe that's exactly how everybody thinks as well too.
Yeah.
Because the reason why I wanted to do all this, ever since I was literally in middle school, I was that boy selling candy to all the kids in middle
I
school.
did the same. Would you like bag it up and bag it up individually?
I
I
love
just did
it,
the same
bro.
thing.
To be honest, bro, I was even worse because I was the kid in high school that go all to the Halloween can buckets and I'd grab the buckets when I said take one, I'd grab the bucket and I would load it up in my backpack to sell the entire year, bro. Expired Halloween candy the entire fucking year of selling. But even then, bro, like kind of like what you said to the movement, the reason why I was selling candy, and you might, Danny, might be able to say the same kind of something similar as well to it, was because my family personally, they would never buy me anything. They were like, you want something, buy it yourself, and I thought that I'm gonna do that same thing to my kids as well too, because I think it works perfectly. But with that understanding, I wanted a skateboard, and everyone was like, yo, go ahead and get a job, get a job. He's like, I was like, I just believe that there's better ways of doing that rather than sacrificing 8 hours a day, 7 days a
Time
week.
is the most valuable thing, isn't it? It's the most valuable
And then
thing.
finally buying a skateboard after a month. Because the skateboard that I wanted was the top of the line, plan B, best skateboard ever, P2 deck when back then that was crazy. It was an awesome freaking skateboard, but the skateboard cost like $600-700. I don't really do that. Really, it would have taken me, like a half a month, maybe a full month to do. And I was thinking, like, yo, there's even for me back then selling that candy, I was like, there's got to be a better way to do this. I can't work a month and then finally get my skateboard. Everybody else, their parents bought them a skateboard. And I was pissed about that. I had this little Walmart board that it was super, super heavy. The wheels would stop every single bump I would go. And I was constantly face planting, and everybody was showing off with their new cruise or penny boards. And I was pissed off at that, bro. I was seriously pissed off. So I was like, there's got to be a better way of doing this. So in middle school, I started selling that candy. And honestly, bro, I made that. I got that skateboard in like 2 weeks because I was so freaking dedicated to do it. And then the next month, I bought a brand new Harrow board because I was so dedicated. You know, my dedication to work for myself, my confidence was way greater than what I could have dedicated to some other job. I knew that for a fact.
Did you set the goal in terms of like the amount of money you needed to get that skateboard? Did you set the goal to generate that amount of money within the next month, and then you hit that goal within 2 weeks' time, sort of thing? Or how do you kind of structure that goal of like, I want this skateboard, this is the thing I want, this is how much it costs, this is the time frame that I want to get this thing, and then through that, you kind of ended up achieving that goal quicker than you thought because you, I don't know.
This might sound weird. This might sound really weird how I'm about to structure this, but it's
Yeah.
God's honest truth. So
Yeah.
I had mine complete. My mindset was completely different. You know, my mindset was thinking like, all right, this let's say $500. The skateboard's $500 right here. You know, each piece of candy I'm gonna sell, as I say, it's like $5. You know, I gotta make 50 sales. And
Yeah.
every single day I thought to myself, all I gotta do today is make 50 sales. I'm gonna buy my skateboard today. You know, and myself being so relentless, I would not leave until literally there was nobody left at the school library. The school's over here, and everybody walked to the library over here. So by around 7, by when school ends, everyone moved to the library, and around 7, 8 o'clock, it would get dark, and everybody would go home. And I was there until like 9 o'clock, you know, and then I would go over into town. I'll go into town, it might be 8 or 9 o'clock and dark, and I would wait for people at stores, at coffee shops, at Dunkin' Donuts to be done with their shift to leave, and I'll try to sell to those people. You know, I'll literally only go home at literally like 10 o'clock at night, bro. Literally. And I'll try to find somebody else like I could sell out to. You know, I would literally try to sell to my parents. I try to sell it to my sister. I wouldn't care, bro. I would try to get that 50 sales that day, no matter what. And the reason why, and I had this other book called The Greatest Salesman in the World or something like that. I'll share on the Discord, but my favorite book, very, very short to read. And one of the rules to his success was always go for one more sale. Even when the day's done, always go for another sale. You know, no, even if that sale was a win, even if that sale was a loss, always go for another sale. And I feel as though because I always went for another sale, you know, literally when I end of my day here, my girl has dinner for me ready. She has to pull me off the phone. Literally, she's like, come on, it's fucking 9 o'clock. Everybody's asleep. Eat dinner finally. You know, she has to pull me off the phone because I always want to make that one more sale. You know, I'm literally, call me a lunatic, call me crazy, but I believe that because I just want to keep on making another sale, another sale. That's what allowed me to buy that skateboard, not in that month that I was kind of expected to kind of get it, but actually in those like 2 weeks that I actually did get it on.
So your sounds like your why was so strong that you wanted that thing so bad, but in a way where you reduce the import. Because I like to think of it in these transurfing principles because it kind of sounds it makes so many connections to it. It's like the desire of that thing that you wanted was an authentic desire. You genuinely wanted that thing, and you're willing to do anything you could possibly do to get that thing.
There's a difference there. Wait, because it's not necessarily that I wanted that thing. It's more so that I knew I deserved it. It's more so I knew that I already had it. That is what it is.
Yeah,
Because
that's big. Yes, that's huge.
Like even when I was young, I knew I was going to be skateboarding with this brand new P2. I saw it on the commercials. I knew this P2 deck was the best freaking deck ever. And I knew I was going to get it. And because I knew I was going to get it subconsciously, I would kind of figure out how I was going to get it. I would figure out, okay, cool. I'm gonna in the very beginning in the entrance of where everybody would leave from my school, I would store all my candy underneath that so that after school I'd have my stuff, I'd grab my candy, my book bag, and just run out, and I would be the first one to the library, set up my shop, and I was selling right there. First one at the shop. And I knew to save that time to put my stuff under there, you know, like subconsciously, yo, how am I gonna make more sales than yesterday? What if I just didn't go to my locker? What if I just hadn't hid my shit under the table, grabbed it, and just ran to the library to be the first one there, so I can ensure that I was so that I ensured I was talking to everybody, and I was not missing anybody in the beginning because that's sales I could have missed because I just went to my locker. Fuck going to my locker. I'd rather just make sure that those extra 30 people I might have missed, I want to talk to them first too. So it all comes down
do you
to
also really quickly as well, do you visualize at all? Do you visualize?
I do visualize, but I've been visualizing since literally when I was a kid, and this is might sound crazy, but because my girl can't do it, I can't imagine a life not doing it. But right in front of me, there you can't see it right in front of me, but there's just a Lexus right in front of me. It's not mine, some neighbor's car, but I can visualize my Ferrari over there. I can see it right there, red 458. I don't want the 488. I feel like the 458 sounds a little better, it's more raw. But I see my 458 right there, parked right in front of my house. You know, my girl can't really do that without closing her eyes. You know, let's say a Voss water over here. You know, if this Voss water is right here, I take it away. If I wanted to, I can see that Voss water right here. I can know exactly what it looks like. Mainly because I've been doing that visualization ever since I was literally a baby. I never that childish thing.
It's genetic. It's
I
a
never
genetic component.
Yeah, exactly. I just feel like everybody can kind of do that, you know.
But it's interesting. I know a number of people. It's interesting you say that because I know a number of people who are not entrepreneurial at all, and that's okay because everyone's got their own path in life, right? And they are not able to visualize at all. They're not able to do the thing that you just suggested. And I thought it was really interesting that because I really like to kind of I nerd about this shit. I like to look into like why are entrepreneurs where they are. Because it's more of a thing of like finding out your path, finding out what are you meant to be doing for your life, you know, your authentic way in the world. And one thing I noticed, I've done a lot of research, and studies suggest that entrepreneurs, or most people with an entrepreneurial brain, kind of like a hyper creative, ADHD style, kind of like, you know,
Yes,
sort of thing, right? That we naturally, and this is why I say we're born to this, because we naturally are able to visualize things very, very easily. I'm able to do the same in terms of being able to see something without closing my eyes right there. And Daniel's very good at that as well. Like every entrepreneur I speak to, everyone I speak to, is very, very good at doing that. And I just thought like that's a very interesting thing. And I wonder how that's helped you in being able to kind of materialize thoughts that you've had in your mind of things that you kind of you wanted, or that you just knew was yours, not wanted, but knew was yours.
It's very sometimes when you're talking to people, it's hard to say like a different word than want, because we really shouldn't say want anymore. You know, we're gonna get it. We're gonna have this thing, because the more we say want, kind of comes off as a sign of lack, as if we're not gonna have it yet. You know, you're kind of, I want this thing, but you know, I don't really have it yet. Fuck that. I'm gonna have this already. You know, I need this thing. But kind of to go off what you said, that the visualization, how that kind of pushed me was more so was that whenever I felt, you know, I took a phone call, you know, this guy probably just rejected me. He probably just cursed me out, and I'm feeling a little depressed. You know, I'm gonna visualize a fucking Ferrari in there, like, yo, you got to make another couple of sales calls, and that shit's gonna be yours. And now immediately, I would no longer be depressed. I'm like, yo, all these other people are Ferraris. Why don't I have mine? What's going on here? And then I'll make another 10 calls. I'll be like, I don't have time to be tired. I don't have time to be depressed. I don't have time to let this guy's silly anger management issues, him cursing me out, depress myself. I got a Ferrari I gotta buy, you know?
Using that negative, especially, it's great because it's using that negative energy. I like to say this, that I said to Daniel earlier. It was like, I got this from a podcast. I think it was from Will I Am, who's actually great, super creative minds, dude. Black Eyed Peas. He was saying, said that he's a farmer, or you're a farmer, and that farmers need manure or shit, right? We need manure to grow your plants, right? If you're a farmer, you need manure to grow your plants. So if you want to call somebody tells you to fuck off, or somebody tells you this, that, and the other, while they're just giving you the manure that you fucking need, the shit you need to grow your plant, which is your thing, the thing that's authentically yours, and the thing that you know you deserve, right? And it's being able to use, because it's all energy, right? And it's being able to use that energy, even if it's negative. There's something that I would and still do to this day, right? Especially on cold calls, is that rejection, is that kind of like that, especially not just the rejection, but a harsh one. And we've all been through it in every way, maybe women, this, that, and the other, like this thing that we go through, right? yeah, not letting that negativity, that negative energy get to you, but flipping it into something that's actually positive, flipping it into something that's like, oh, that's actually now more energy for you to actually acquire that thing that you deserve.
And this is a little off topic, but on the whole energy side of things, talking about the speaking with lack versus speaking with abundance. And a way that really like showed that this is real is there's this experiment where you put your hands out and you picture an apple forming in one hand. And then when you focus your energy there, you can actually feel the apple. And if you go like this, you could feel like when the apple
Mm-hmm.
disappears and when it's actually there. And just that, it shows you that where you put your energy, that is your reality. If you're
Mm-hmm.
constantly thinking in this lack, and maybe it's subconsciously, but if you're consistently doing that and speaking those words into the universe, that does something.
It does.
Yeah.
That your energy is so freaking precious, bro. Your mindset right here is the one thing you gotta guard like a fucking prison. You know, this morning I got this super nasty text over on Messenger. This guy was being a complete dickhead. You just know that guy just got no pussy last night. But this guy was a complete asshole. And I showed my girl this, and we were kind of both depressed, we're kind of upset, and it changed our entire perspective this the start of the day, because we normally we wake up, we do our little routine, do our thing, but this morning, because we got this crazy text, we were like, I feel bad, I feel this, feel X, Y, and Z. um I didn't make my coffee as well too, which I always have a coffee right next to me right here, boom boom. And then for like solid 30 minutes to an hour, I'm like, fuck, this one actually kind of hurt, and my girl was feeling that as well too. But then, 30 minutes, 45 minutes later, when we kind of came to the realization, like, what are we doing? Like, yo, this guy is a complete asshole. This guy probably had a shitty day. This is probably just one of those guys that are out there that just kind of feed off of negative energy. And we're gonna have these people all the time. I kind of call them agents, like these little secret agents that kind of infiltrate just to fuck up your day, literally just to fuck up your energy. And it's with everything you do. There's always these little secret agents scattered around here, the miniature versions of, yeah, we can call them the El Diablo, the devil, we can call them spirits, we can call them whatever it might be, but it doesn't change the fact you're always going to have these little pockets where these people are just complete dickheads because they completely
Yeah,
feed off of your negative energy. And
projecting their
it's
demons onto
project
you, sort of thing.
exactly. And you need to be confident enough. You need to be strong enough not to let that affect you. Because if you do let that affect you, obviously it's going to make you more negative. But even worse, you're not going to make that coffee in the morning. You're not going to go outside. You're not going to make that other sale. You're not going to make that other phone call, because you're too depressed in yourself, because you let this person stop you from doing the things that you want to do. So every day, you're going to get these negative agents, negative spirits, negative people that just want to rip your soul away from you. But you, as this fucking alpha, us as these alphas out here, we can't let that happen to us. I literally consider it as like a secret agent that just wants to infiltrate your vibe. It's literally like that. And they're coming from nowhere. They can be in your business and fitness. It can be just a friend, even a family members as well too. It can be in the mirror, anything. Spirits can hide in anything, and they want to tear you down. But you can't let that happen. You got to be stronger than that. And
Yeah.
the stronger you get, the more money you make, the more successful you become. You're gonna realize that these spirits, these agents, are gonna come in the form, even relative to what success that you are at the same point, but in the form of, let's say you have $10,000 problems now, this person's gonna come as a $10,000 problem. Let's say you have $100,000 problems, this person's gonna come in form of $100,000 problems as well. So what I'm trying to say is that regardless on where you are in your journey, making a dollar all the way to millions of dollars, you're always gonna get these secret agents that want to knock you down, family
And what it
members, friends,
is,
whatever.
it's fully
Preach.
have you seen tuning rods? If there's one tuning rod and it's vibrating at a certain frequency, the other one doesn't even have to be, so like you hit it and it starts vibrating. if you just bring another one in its vicinity, it's also picks up on that vibration. And it's whatever the
Hmm.
stronger power, like the stronger will influences all the other ones. And as we know,
Exactly.
love is much stronger than negativity. So if you're
Hmm.
pure positivity, love, all that, you just bring others up just by being around them. And I think that is just the most beautiful thing.
Hmm. And it's crazy too. When you have like a higher vibration, when you're positive, when you're loving, when you're happy, you start attracting a lot of positivity into your life. On the
Mm.
contrast too, as well, if you let those negative demons, negative vibes affect you, you're gonna start attracting depression, sad shit, and scares and lack. Well, and you can it's very, very noticeable. Like the other day, I was hanging out with me and my girl and one of my neighbors over here. He came over, amazing guy. He actually is the one that got me this apartment, an amazing, amazing deal. And we were hanging out. We went to the beach, and we're just happy, we're vibing, we're talking to people. But what was crazy was that when we were on the beach, it stopped. No, it wasn't raining, but out of the blue, everybody was having a good time. We were starting to see people in pairs and like threes. It was so cool. And then people were kiteboarding over here, and we look into the sky and we see the biggest rainbow I probably have ever seen in my entire life. I got a couple of pictures of it. My girl probably has better pictures than me. But the biggest rainbow in my entire life. And I truly believe that that was a blessing from God, because our vibes were so positive, so happy, so loving. And everybody on the beach, there was not a negative vibe on that beach at all. And because of it, because everybody was happy, because everybody was playing frisbee, people were kiteboarding, people were playing frisbee, people were talking, people were laughing, people were drinking beer, having a good old time. We attracted this massive rainbow here that was so unique and so unlike anything I've ever seen before in my life. Yeah, I know that might sound like, yeah, it's just a rainbow, it's just a coincidence. But even that, you guys have probably seen that yourselves as well too. In which case, just by having just a positive mood in the day, you've attracted some sort of crazy miracle to you, or some sort of cool opportunity, or maybe a new friend came in your life because you were just happy, because you just opened a door for somebody, because you said something, thank you, or a genuine compliment to somebody, because you were happy to somebody else. I'm sure you guys have been through it, or because you were happy to somebody else, somebody did something amazing for you guys as well too, or you attracted something amazing into your life.
Like a
I have one
domino
thing to say
effect
to
in a
that.
way.
I have one thing
Preach,
to say to
preach.
that
I
is
want to hear it. I
as
want to
a
hear it.
as above, so below. Like that's I think that perfectly sums it up. As above, so below. Yeah, that's it. That's all I gotta say to that. And I got
Drop the
one
mic.
quick well, one quick question for just like you and your girl, because that's
Mhm.
something I'm hyper focused on the business right now. And I haven't been putting as much energy into the whole relationships, especially like female relationships, that side of it. And I'm just wondering if you like strategically got one while you were had less money and things like that, and then sort of built that relationship up, or
Mhm.
like how'd you meet them? Because it's just yeah, I'm just curious about
It's
that honestly.
interesting because when I had the most amount of money, um, I lost my relationship of 3 years. So I
Hmm.
had this chick, her name was Maddie. I thought I was gonna marry her, be with her forever. When I had the most amount of money, I lost her because she cheated on me with this random dude while she was at some sort of college party. Obviously not the right chick for me. And then for a year or two, I was like so depressed. I was like, I didn't. I mean, I still do my thing, maybe hanging, meeting other chicks, but I really wasn't committing. I wasn't having a relationship. I didn't believe that I honestly deserved a relationship. Only until um when only until I had what happened actually. Okay, so I met this chick that I'm currently with right now, and I do believe that she is everything that I've ever asked for because of God. And I met her at literally at the perfect time. It wasn't when I had the most amount of money. It wasn't when I had the least amount of money either. You know, I had a Jeep Wrangler. It was literally just when somebody totaled my Jeep Wrangler. I was pissed. I lost it. I was going through a couple of things, but I knew I could handle it. But I got my girl mainly because I knew I not because I knew, but because she knew I kind of needed some support. you know. I needed, you know, I love meeting other chicks, you know, and I need a chick that loves meeting other chicks as well too. I prayed for that, you know. I literally prayed for that. I prayed that Maddie would be able to do so. She never did. After those 2 years of kind of being alone, 1 year of being alone, I never thought I could ever meet somebody that would actually love me for who I am. Because I always wanted a chick that would meet, that would love other chicks as well too. You know, I always wanted a chick that would just let me do my thing, let me print the money, and she can just support me, cook for me, clean for me, help me out. But most importantly, be there for me on those up and downs. We all know that not everything is going to be all sunshines and rainbows. We all know that we're not always going to be winning. An entrepreneur journey is literally like this, you know, it's a constant bump of the road. It's a roller coaster. So I really needed somebody that was going to be with me through those roller coasters. And so I met this girl, we were kind of hanging out, and I had this one roller coaster, this one downside. One of them was like a car crashing. Another one was somebody hit my car. Another one was me losing like 40 grand in Forex. Another one, me completely losing my $1 million crypto company. So upset about that. Another one was I had plenty of them. The list goes on and on. And I'm sure everybody has their own sob stories, but who cares about those? You know, it's not what defines us. But I had all these things, and I had this one chick. We haven't really um, done anything yet, but this chick was still talking to me, still hanging out with me. You know, even while I lost 40 grand in Forex, even while I lost this $1 million company in crypto, even while I felt like I was a fucking loser, to be honest, losing all this shit. You know, I literally felt like I was a fucking loser. And I hate saying that, but I felt that. And I noticed that even though, and I always had plenty of girls around me. I'm always I'm pretty talkative. I'm pretty charismatic. So I'm not that bad at getting girls. But, and I would have chicks around me, and I realized that during these downs, these chicks would not want to talk to me, would not want anything to do with me. My friends would not
It's
want
like the
anything to
shit
do
test.
with me.
This is the
That's
male
it.
shit. I just
That's
want to
it,
cut you off
bro.
really, really quickly.
That's
So you know
it.
women have a shit test, right? Where
Mm-hmm.
they'll shit test dudes in a way where like this is a certain way of it. But this is what they do, right? This is the male shit test. This is the male shit test. Are they still with you when you're going through the shit? That's
Exactly.
how we can actually do that for women, right? That's our shit. That's for women. Like, are they still with you when you're going through the shit? Because the thing is that women, they have their own
They stay at
needs.
the,
So there's like, I
typically
want
they
this to
stay at
connect.
the end. Yeah, typically they stay at the very end of a race. They stay
Mm,
where the winners are at, you
yeah,
know?
yeah.
And that's exactly what happened with my friends and the girls I had in my life. You know, as girls left, my dude friends left because they're only hanging out with me because I had chicks around me. You
Mm,
know, it was crazy,
yeah.
bro. And and it was crazy. So and I realized that the girl kind of liked me. And she was still with me during those times. So I did exactly what you kind of said. I kind of shit tested her. You know, she was at she was at her sister's house. They have like a little farm over here. And what was I doing? I didn't have an incredible amount of money. I was still making money. I had well enough to support me and my lifestyle. But I went up to my girl one day and I was like, yo, something just happened and I need some money. You mind if I borrow like 50, $100? And she didn't really have it, but she had like 20, $30. But she did something amazing. She called up all her friends, all her family, and asked to borrow money from her family. And she got me that 50 or $100 for gas, you know? And I took her to the gas station, went and I took her out to eat. And I literally right there, I spent like $200 on the steaks, bro. Like, come on, this is obviously a shit test, you know? But because she was willing to give up her last $30, because she was willing to call up her friends and family and ask for another $20 here, $10 here. I don't know how she did it. I wasn't really with her during that time. You know, I called her up prior. I was like, yo, I have no gas, I need help. But I showed up there and she had the money for me. You know, she figured it out. And love, I feel like love truly figures it out because this chick
Mm,
loves me so much. She's willing to figure out how to get money for me. She's willing to be there for me through the ups and downs. She's willing to be there for me even though I act up, and I love other women as well too. and she loves now she loves other women now as well too, because she loves me and she's willing to support my lifestyle. So it really it's not one size fits all with this question. It's really more than that, because you can't get a woman just because she has tits and an ass.
Mm.
Yeah,
It's
maybe
authenticity. It's really an
yeah, it's really that
authentic thing.
authenticity, especially when we're building up right now. We're gonna have these days that we're making it. We're gonna have these days that we're completely not making it. But me personally, bro, I was in the other day, I was actually doing hookah with this guy that I met at the beach. This guy that has a pretty decent company. And
Mm.
let me explain this. My girl's with me. He was talking about how he was banging all these women. He was about to go out and bang another two chicks that back at her that he has crib because he had all this money. And me and my girl, we were over here like, yo, yeah, we just pilled this other chick from the beach and had an amazing time with this other chick. And now she's still hanging out with us. She's still our friend. And he was like, wait, you're still hanging out with that chick? And this dude was like genuinely surprised because he was generally surprised because and I think this is so much more reflex. He is around with all this money, flowing this money, getting these chicks because he's throwing all this money at bars. But like
Yeah.
me and my girl, we have this genuine connection that this guy can't replicate with monetary, with
It's so
money.
much better. It's so much better
It's
that way, isn't it? So
I
much better
think
that way.
I think the
and
question is, what are they there for? And
yeah.
the way you can answer that is like, what are you putting out there? Because that's probably what
Mhm,
they're there for. Like that's what they see in you. Yeah.
mhm. And it was quite interesting too, because he wasn't really trying to like, he was obviously kind of like hiding a little bit, but like he stopped talking about his chicks and was asking me, yo, Blade, how do you do it? How do you find those genuine connections? And then the next hour or two, we were talking, me and my girl, like how we actually meet other chicks. We're talking about, first of
You don't
all,
find it, you
women and
attract it,
also
right?
life.
You attract
Exactly.
it. That's the whole point. Like you attract what you are. Women are a mirror of you.
Hmm.
So if you embody an true authenticity in a way where you are not afraid to be yourself, because I guarantee you, your friend, that dude that you did hookah with that dude, because I've been there as well, and I've kind of personally for myself, I kind of been really learning this, like, oh, this is what a genuine connection is like versus just sleeping around with girls. Is that you a lot of the way men sleep around with women is kind of psychopathic in a way because it's like you're trying to put on a face or like you're putting on a persona, you're putting on something that you generally aren't to go ahead and sleep with a woman that you find attractive only to never speak to her again. You're getting something out of somebody to go and never speak to them again. That's quite psychopathic in a way. I say that as someone who's done that. You don't need money for that either. Everyone thinks you need money for women. Like you really fucking don't. You really don't. And it's like, I think that's really the biggest thing, isn't it? It's like, is authenticity. Are you being yourself? Do they love you for who you are? And I think it's interesting because there's so many like different kind of what's the word, like kind of polar opposite opinions about this. Like, it's about what you provide as a man and this, that, and the other. And I guess there's an element of that, but it's like, as you were saying before, like this woman loved you when you were in the shit, when you were just things were low, but you were just being you. I can imagine the whole time you were just being you. You're not trying to
Hmm.
put on a persona, not trying to put on a face, which I feel like a lot of people are like definitely do, especially people in entrepreneurial space who've built up all this stuff. So it's like on the externals, like you're wearing the nicest clothes, doing this, that, and the other. You've done everything. Externally, everything's beautiful, but internally, it's not beautiful. And it's like, yeah, I can imagine like even for yourself, whether like when you're going through the hard times, still internally you're still being yourself, and you're still able to just authentically be yourself and show fully yourself to this woman, and then she loved that, and she thought that was incredible, and kept
Hmm.
around because of that. And I think that's yeah, I feel like that's really the main thing when it comes to. That's what I'm learning. I mean, I don't know. I don't really know. There's still more to learn, but so I feel like I'm learning that at the moment. It's like that's what it's about. Is
Yeah, I
that
think
connection?
the best move in terms of women is not not to chase them anymore, is really to attract them, you know, because that's where you get the true, genuine relationships. You know, if you're able to be yourself, your true, authentic self, you attract somebody, that person's really going to be there through thick and thin and is going to have your back. You know, whereas you had to change out the person that you are, you know, eventually they're going to figure it all out. You know, it's not going to be a true, genuine relationship, you know. And I feel as though, at least in my journey, is that the more I focused in on just becoming a better person myself, that's exactly what she was doing. She was just focusing on becoming a better person herself. And because we were kind of both
like
doing
you're
the same
authentically
thing,
becoming that person instead of just putting on that face of like I'm trying to be this person that women want, or like trying to be, you know, it's like when people go to a club, for example, and it's like, oh, I'm gonna become James Bond. I'm just gonna act like James Bond and like get you chicks, right? It's like, well, why don't you actually become? Let's see, there's the embodiment of what most chicks want, because it's just female biology and female psychology as to what women want. Actually becoming that person, as in that is actually who you are, instead of just like put it. And I think there's a lot of reasons, because that's another like, it ties back to entrepreneurship as well, because it's like a lot of the reasons why people want to make money, because a lot of people have said about the 4 M's, right? Mating and relationship, like mating and romanticism, that's a motivation for people, just, you know, women. You know, like a lot of the reasons why we do what we do as men is because it's for women, but it's like, you know, it's empty just going ahead and trying to be somebody you're not, and instead of actually building up your personality authentically to become that person, is a very empty thing, and it's very much like a time wasting kind of thing, you know. At least I've noticed that for myself personally. Like it's so empty, like going around being with chicks just doing that, right? And then never speaks to them again. So empty.
A lot of the time it's like, I was watching this Charlie Morgan video about this. A lot of the time when there is an up, like if you have these big oscillations where you sort of build yourself up and bring yourself down, a lot of the time the reason you're bringing yourself down is a trauma which is buried real deep. And it's like, there's a Jung quote about it: until you let the unconscious be known, it rules your life, or something along those lines.
Until you make the unconscious conscious, you will call it fate, and it will rule your life.
Yeah, and really, like, this ties down to the whole, really anything in entrepreneurship, because say you trying to get that skateboard when you were younger, you knew deep down that no one was going to get that for you, so you did it yourself. And we have those deep, like, unconscious reasons for why we do everything. And that's something that when you can bring that to the light, and exactly like the Jung quote, make the unconscious conscious. If you can't do that, it'll rule your life. And yeah,
yeah, just making those things, like looking at patterns in your life, going, okay, well, and this is the thing is like, why are my sales bad? Why can't I not get chicks? Why can't I do this? Like, why can't I get a girlfriend? You know, it's like these patterns that keep on happening over and over and over again. It's like, well, okay, maybe it's not the world, maybe it's me. Maybe I'm the problem.
There's one quote I heard. There's one quote I heard about this. It's like, there's a guy who's walking around and everywhere he goes, he smells shit. So he thinks the world is just shit. But then one day he looks on the bottom of his shoe and there's shit on the bottom of his shoe. And he just wipes it off and everything's all good. And I think that's a perfect representation of having like a trauma, which is sort of like blocking you from being your fullest potential, and then realizing it's just shit on the bottom of your shoe.
If you go, I believe too that people also are afraid of just taking responsibility themselves. A lot of people that I talk to, one thing in particular, when I'm consulting new clients, is I realize that one thing that kind of hold people back a tremendous amount is that they don't really believe that they deserve to be able to have success. You know, they believe it's their responsibility to be like everybody else, because that's how society is. So I feel as though one of the, and there's also a reason why most courses start off with like mindset, you know, But one thing in particular is that by being able to take responsibility of your life, by being able to really look at yourself, your past, whatever it might be, your past childhood traumas that might make you a little less confident, or it might be something that happened in a past relationship that might be causing you from being afraid of picking up more chicks, or maybe something, whatever, X, Y, and Z, whatever it might be. But it really does take yourself, because like you're your own greatest enemy. But it really takes yourself to be able to look at yourself and realize, like, yo, what's going on with myself? In middle school, I remember I was selling candy, but I was also this fat, chubby kid in middle school, you know? And then when I went to high school, I was this fat, chubby kid in middle school that was also kind of shy as well, too. I didn't have a lot of friends. I was selling candy to everybody. That's kind of the most confident thing I was doing. And when I went to high school, I was like, fuck this. I want to completely redefine myself. You know, I want to take more control of who I am. So then from when I transitioned from middle school to high school, I was giving everybody high fives. I was meeting everybody, you know, but in middle school, I didn't feel like I deserved to really be like a popular guy, to be a charismatic guy, you know, whereas in high school, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna change this all around. I'm not going to be responsible for being this loser over here. I don't want to be this guy that nobody gets pushed in a locker, or I don't want to be this guy that nobody even knows who he is, or I don't want to be like, and this is a great thing as well too, is that, you know, I think Andrew Tate said this too, in a war there are statistics and then there's names. You know, I don't want to be like a number. I want to be an actual name, you know. And so one of the biggest things that I always have to kind of change up, and I see this the most frequently when I'm doing these consulting with people, is their mindset is oftentimes what limits people. You know, when I'm first working out with a client, they might never believe that they can close $1,000 deal a day. They might never believe that they can close a $10,000 deal a day. They might never believe that they can close 10 clients in one day. They might just be used to, oh, I'm okay. I can just close $100 deal every single day. I'm fine with that because that's all I can believe I can really do. But and it might be because of childhood trauma, it might be because of whatever might be in their past, but they themselves don't believe in it themselves. They don't think they should take a responsibility themselves, that they don't feel that they're destined to really be able to have these fulfilling lives, to be able to take responsibility themselves, to be able to deserve to have an abundant filled life. You know, that's, I feel as though, is one of the biggest setbacks that I really do see with anybody that comes in and I do some sort of consulting with them. Even if it's like, yo, I'm gonna teach you how to run Facebook ads, I always have to go over that in the beginning, because nobody believes that they can put $10 in and get a $100 out, and then they can scale that shit up so that they get $1,000 in and get $10,000 out. Nobody really can. I know it might seem like simple on paper, but just being able to kind of understand this money printing system, that once you kind of have it going, it can quite literally print you money, because nobody really themselves believes that they even deserve to have that. You know, a lot of people,
I don't know
and
who says this. I don't know who says this, but this perfectly sums this up. The gates of hell are locked from the inside. It all starts here.
it does. It really does.
Mm.
It all starts in here. And
It's a
I don't know.
psychological game. Like it really is all a psychological game. Entrepreneurship, sales, business, it's all psychological. Like it really is all in the mind. It's all psychological. There is also the heart as well, in terms of that passion, in terms of that heart and mind coherence to be able to really, in accordance to your intention, right? You set an intention and you have heart and mind coherence to sort of allow things to just happen and be kind of a magnet for this thing. And there's one thing I've really noticed so far. This whole game is all psychological. It's all psychological.
This entire game is psychological. Everything is done here. I was watching this documentary with Trump, and Trump, it was a past, I think it might have been the 2000, maybe 1995. Let's say 95, whatever. It was an old documentary, and Trump was talking to the news reporter, and it's like, you see that guy over there? The news reporter was like, yeah, he's sleeping on the street. What about him? That guy over there has $900 million more than I have right now. It was a time, or $100 million, whatever. It was a time where Trump was quite literally negative $900 million in debt, or negative $100 million in debt, whatever the number it is. But he was like, yo, this guy has $100 million more than I. He's at zero. Trump was in so much debt, bro. It's insane. But if you were to think about it, this guy, that's a staggering amount. I can't even count the zeros in 100 million, or 900 million, whatever it was. But then only, I think it was like 2 or 3 years later, he completely flipped that right over. And then I'm pretty sure he became a billionaire in like '05 or something like that. So it wasn't too many years after that when Trump completely goes from negative 100 million to finally having $1 billion value. But imagine what would happen if Trump saw that negative 100 million and be like, I give up.
There's a
So
document I wrote about this called Comfort versus Growth, and it's all about the difference between being unrealistic versus being like realistic, and how to get outsized returns, you need to put in an unrealistic bet. And the document talks about how to create the mindset to be able to put an unrealistic bet in yourself, because he's not betting on a business, he's betting on himself. And yeah,
it's funny because there's a thin line between genius and crazy. You'll notice that, right? And you'll see, look at Kanye West, for example. So many people go, this dude's batshit insane. This dude is absolutely crazy. People look at Trump, this guy's absolutely crazy. You look at most entrepreneurs who become very, very successful, and people go, they'll look at you and go, you are delusional, you are crazy. Well, especially beginner entrepreneurs, especially if you've got friends, right, who don't understand this, everything we're talking about, the people who don't understand that, they can go, you're delusional, you're crazy, this, that, and the other. But there's a very thin line between that, right? Between crazy and genius.
to not become
Nikola Tesla, who else is it? Leonardo da Vinci as well, right? Those two people were considered complete, maniacs.
the only way to not go insane is to already be crazy. I love that.
I love that too.
That is so good. Yeah, 100%. And it's funny, what's interesting as well is like you'll notice people that become the most successful in their field usually start off as the worst. Like, for example, right? I'll notice people who get into the best shape humanly possible, like the best physical shape, usually start off either really fat, really skinny. Like they'll usually be, or like, let's say, for example, really good communicators usually start off very shy, usually start off not being able to communicate very well. And it's like, and it's again, that pressure or that kind of that negative, painful experience will either make you or break you, right? But the people that made them, let's say, for example, in your case, in terms of communication, I can resonate with that because myself, I couldn't communicate very well either, especially at school. And my physique was, I was on the skinny side of the physique, and I was, people would kind of, I'd get thrown around and stuff like that when I was like 12, 13. But then by the time I'm like 16, 17, I built up a very good physique, and my communication skills, well, especially over time as well, has gotten so much better. And it's like, that would not have happened. That would not have happened if I was already like, okay, if I was already comfortable, I would not have put in the time to better myself in that day. Because the biggest drive, one of the biggest drives is pain, even though one of the points of life is to be able to enjoy life, which is why we do the things we do, and why we learn the things we learn, is to to avoid pain and to find pleasure in life. Pain is one of the kind of the biggest motivators, right? And it's like, for example, the people who make so much money, they started off with nothing. That's why they're able to really grind to a level and really appreciate. There's another thing as well. Like, if you start off with nothing in whatever realm, whether it be finances, whether it be not being able to communicate, whether it be bad physique, you're actually able to appreciate that thing when you get it because you've worked for it.
A lot more than a rich person that's already rich.
Yeah, man. I mean, I personally, I'm in quite a nice area in England. I grew up around a lot of kids that my people whose mothers and fathers sell their companies for over 100 mil. And I grew up around these kids, and it's very interesting to see the different mindsets behind that, and what that can do to somebody when you've been given everything. Because when you're given that thing, it's even the same thing with physique. Like, if you're genetically, your physique's just like, and they do put in the work. I'm not saying people don't put in the work. These people go to the gym, they put in the work, but it's like, if you don't grind for that thing, it's like you're not going to really appreciate it. That's part of living, right? Part of being able to live a complete, beautiful life is to experience everything in life, right? Can experience everything, and that includes the bad parts as well, because there is no, it's duality. There's no light without dark. Sort of thing. How we're able to really appreciate these things, and it's something I've been kind of pondering over myself, because a lot of people, old people in my life, who I'm kind of no longer around, because it's hard to resonate. You know, we friends come and
I
go,
feel that.
and things
I
happen.
feel that.
Yeah, you know, and yeah, you know what I mean. Like friends come and go and stuff, and it's not like these people are bad people, but it's like you're no longer able to relate, and it's really understand. And it comes back to psychology, because it's just understanding. Okay, this is why that person is that way. Oh, this person was born into all of this. Oh, that's why they're that way. Oh, that's why they do these things. You know, a lot
Yeah,
of
and I think
people
it's
who,
also it's really how you react to that, because like you're put in that situation of pain, and it's depending on if you register that and be like, fuck that, I'm gonna get that, or if you say, oh no, and you're you're going to ball.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
the whole thing about you getting on that, hearing that bad message from the client and it lowering your vibration temporarily, but then you realize you're like, what the fuck am I doing here? And you used that and you took that and brought it up and turned it into something good. And yeah, it's all about how you react to something. Because one person could walk down one alley and be completely tormented, and one guy could see something beautiful.
I mean, it's how you grow muscle too. You know,
Hmm.
you gotta break down the muscle in order to grow it. We work out, it breaks the muscle, and then we recover for it and we grow even stronger. As well
Pain
too.
causes growth.
Exactly, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. I also thought it was so interesting how you said as well too about people kind of born with everything. You know, because when I was running track, and I was pretty good at running track. We had this thing where we said talent can only take you so far. So in running, there's always these people, and I'm sure you guys also do sports as well too, so I'm sure you can kind of relate. But there's always those people that are just exceptionally just good at what they do from the jump. You know, in football, there's always people that are really, really good at catching, really, really good at tackling, very, very beginning. In running, there's always those people that are just naturally just faster than everybody else. There's always those people that are just that are able to run longer distance than everybody else.
People with
But
natural IQ of about 150, they're able to just kind of just do exams with ease. Sort of thing, you
exactly,
know?
exactly. But then at the very end of the race, the person that really wins the race is not the person with the most talent, but is really the person with the most grit, with the most determination, the person that's willing to go through the most pain to get where he wants to be. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? Because
yeah,
we all do the same training, you know, in track, we all did the same training. You know, that person might have a little bit more talent than me because he's might be a little fast runner. But at the end, the reason why I would run races was literally because I wanted it more than people. It was because I was
yeah,
willing to go through more pain than the person next to me, you know?
yeah.
And that just
And
goes
you
along
mix
with
them both together. You mix that talent and the hard work together, and it's like, you know,
unstoppable.
if yeah, you're just that's those are the kind of the Cristiano Ronaldos of the world. Those are the kind of they're the people like the Michael Jordans of the world, right? Like they're the people that if you look at Iman Gatchi or someone like that, you know, someone young who's been able to do something really well, like those people, they have a gift. They know their gift. They know their, because I think everyone has their thing. You know, every single individual has something that they do which is just better than most people. You know, like there's going to be something for. I believe there's something for everyone there. You know?
100%.
And it's
I
being
agree with
able to
that.
like really double that down, but also have the pain there to realize, oh shit, I've got to really work hard here. Because I look for example, I look at Cristiano Ronaldo, a famous soccer player. He's just right, you know, around Europe, around everywhere. Just everyone knows who this guy is. And analyze people like that. And I go, okay, this dude started out. His family was very extremely poor, but his talent, exceptional soccer, like exceptional soccer player. And so he had the talent, but now he actually has the why to put in the hard work. So that what he would do, he'd turn up to training about 3 hours, well, 2 hours earlier than anybody else. He would leave training 2 hours after anybody else. So because in Europe especially, like soccer players get paid a lot, like loads of fucking money for, and it's very easy if you're a professional soccer player, especially in England, right? If you're a professional soccer player, like you can kind of like You don't have to put in that much hard work because you're getting paid loads. But
Mhm.
someone like Cristiano Ronaldo, he, despite being paid millions, he's still doing the same things he did in the beginning. He's
Mhm.
never stopped because that initial pain has drove him all the way. Because it's not saying you can't enjoy the journey at the same time, because by all means, we do that, right? Life is to be enjoyed, but it's like he did the same things throughout that whole way, whereas loads of other soccer players have not been able to touch him, because they've been, they it's comfortable. It's comfortable,
Mhm.
Yeah, and
and that's really the biggest thing. I'm kind of like comfortability is you're not going to get anywhere with comfortability,
Oh,
basically.
I think it's also like Ronaldo. It sounds like to him, soccer is much more than just a job. And there's people like
Yeah,
that in every sport, like Kobe, for example. He would do
yeah,
the same.
Mhm.
He'd be spending hours longer than everyone else. And it doesn't affect his pay. He's getting paid the same. It's about who he authentically is.
mm,
Mhm.
Mm.
Mhm.
yeah. Like,
I
is
find
this your thing? Yeah,
I thought it was so interesting with Ronaldo. I saw him like play once, and I didn't think he was the fastest guy there. I didn't think. I mean, he's a pretty good dribbler, but I didn't think he was necessarily the fastest or the best shot. But what I really liked about Ronaldo is that I believe he was the smartest. I believe he was the most
yes,
strategic, and I believe that Ronaldo really knows the game the best. I don't
mm,
see Ronaldo running back and forth all the time. I see him like
mm,
I don't want to say attracting, but like I see he positions himself in the right spot where the ball will
mm,
be. So he not
Yes.
only practices twice than everybody else, but he also studies the game probably
yeah,
10 times as much as everybody else.
yeah,
That's what I really
yeah,
think that separates like those type of people. It's not
yeah.
always that the fact that they're hustling, always grinding, always outworking
It's
everybody.
working smart and working
It's
hard at the same
working
time. Yeah,
smarter than everybody. That's really what it is as well too. Because
yeah.
yeah,
That's
he
way more
fucking
higher
works.
leverage, isn't it? To be fair, I mean, Patrick Bet-David says this because the person he fears the most is an ambitious, lazy person, and that's because ambitious, lazy person will. There's the working hard bit because look, you can work at a hospital, for example. You can work bloody hard, right? You can work as a janitor. You work hard, right? But it's different to working smart. And we can work 20-hour days, but it's like, what's the point of working 20-hour days when you could work 4 hours, like 4 hours in the week, a 4 hour
Mhm.
work week, for example, right? You're making more
Mhm.
money, you're doing more, there's really being able to look at that and go, okay, like what's higher leverage? Like I always thought there's like three words that stick with me so much is like is authenticity, which we talked about a lot, like authenticity, leverage, and then
Mhm.
momentum. Obviously, when you've caught momentum, you can actually kind of really
Yeah.
exponential curve sort of thing. And yeah, it's profound to see kind of the synchronicities as to like how and why things happen. Because I think that's one of the ways us as entrepreneurs analyze how to be successful, like how to get our business better. It's like is why are other people successful and why has this worked and why on a deeper level because we can look at it, things on a very surface level and go, okay, this is they've done these things this way, very measurable things you can kind of measurably look. But there's also that element of like that more much deeper element of like this person is doing the thing that fits them, and this person is they know themselves. It's like
Mhm.
know thyself. It's like know thyself, like knowing yourself enough to know what you are best at, to know what you can deliver. And yeah, I
I
think that's
can't
just the biggest edge, isn't it?
I can't wait to open up my school. It's only gonna focus on people's strengths, kind of like what Elon Musk has as well.
Mm,
But it's also very powerful what you just said as well too, my man. Because if you notice, we have all, I'm sure you guys are on Facebook, check or Discord, checking out all these other agencies. You see people hustling all the time. People are working 25/8, but they're still not at where they want to be.
mm,
You can probably name somebody that might work even harder than you, or you might name somebody that works less than you, that has a higher position than you, or somebody that works harder than you, that's at a lower position than you. Now, why are those people that work less than you at a higher position than you? And why are the people that work harder than you at a lower position than you? You
Mm.
know, so that kind of also comes into like what we're saying with Ronaldo. He's not necessarily the fastest, he's not necessarily the hardest worker, but also he's also the smartest there as well too.
Yeah.
So when we were making moves, and this kind of goes in the very first conversation that we had when you asked me like, "Yo, when you get a virtual assistant," you know, it doesn't. You can't always be the internal worker. You can't always be the guy hustling. You can't, if you're always working, worrying about making money, if you're always working for money, you never have time to actually make money, which is what Rockefeller said. In which case,
Wow.
you really need to know where your time is better fit. Is your time better suited on closing deals? Is your time better suited on making content? Is your time better suited on doing X, Y, and Z? What will make you the most money? And how could you then amplify that? Like when you're saying in the very beginning,
Sounds like leverage. Just leverage. How can you
leverage.
leverage yourself? Leverage is
Exactly.
the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Like,
There's a
like
quote
with,
from what's it called? Warren Buffett. It's the same thing basically. You said it's not about how hard, or it's not about how hard you row. It's about what boat you're in. And
exactly.
yeah, that's perfect. Like I think a perfect way of like summarizing the people who have been putting in those 28, like 27 or 24, 8 like weeks of work, and they're not getting what they want. They're eating an orange like an apple. That's something I heard. Or like, yeah.
So it
Yeah.
also comes down to, exactly, those people doing 25/8, typically we work 24/7, but they work at 25/8. And how are those people not getting the results that they want? A lot of times we get caught up in the hustle and the hustle and the work and stuff that we don't really get to take the time to take a step back and really analyze what is really going on that we're doing. Because if we're working 25/8 on just making graphics and making thumbnails and seeing nothing really out of it, that's like a low ticket job that can kind of be pushed out to somebody else where you can get focused on cold calling if that's actually working for you. So it also takes a delicate balance of, obviously, yeah, you got to work hard. Yeah, you got to be smart at it, but you also need to be able to understand when it sound crazy, but you got to work hard. You got to work smart. But I also realized, and I kind of realized this recently, kind of within the last 2 years, is that you got to really willing to take a step back sometimes. You're working 25/8, you're working extra smart, but you're not getting to where you want. You got to be willing to take a step back, look at what you're doing, take responsibility for what you're doing. Am I just making thumbnails that can be spent, that can be hired out to somebody at $5 an hour? I was working with this realtor a while back too, and I went to his office because I was going to do some consulting, and this realtor wanted to go to become a millionaire. He was making maybe $250,000. He wanted to become a millionaire. I went to his place, and this dude was out there mowing the lawn. I went there 30 minutes earlier. He was out there mowing the lawn. I'm like, yo, brother, what the fuck you doing? That's $20 an hour job. Millionaires make $500 an hour. You're losing. You are losing. What's the math on that? $480 because you're doing a $20 an hour job. It just makes sense. So it takes the individual entrepreneur. Yeah, you got to work hard. You got to do 100 calls every single day. You got to make sure your team is working. You got to work smart. You got to be a leader to your team. You got to make sure that time is leveraged in the right way. But you also need to be able to take that step back and really just look at the entire landscape, look at the entire ecosystem that you're working and building on, and be like, yo, where can time be better spent? Where am I doing shit wrong? Where am I doing shit right? And you can't be egotistical with that at all. Because as soon as you kind of get like, yo, I'm the freaking best. I'm too good for this shit. I don't need to make cold calls. I don't need to look back at what I'm doing wrong. As soon as you do that is when you really do fuck up. Because you need to be able to really look at yourself as though you're not yourself, but as though, coming from like an outside source.
So objective, like have an objective view.
Exactly. So you don't become defenseless and be like, oh, I made this excuse, I got this excuse and this excuse. You gotta look for it at what it really is. You got to be confident and look at what it really is. And am I spending too much time making these $5 an hour graphics Should I be mowing the lawn? Should I really be making more cold calls? Should I really be looking at my past subscribers, my past people that comments on my videos, my past people that engage my social media and really call those people rather than just be cold calling some random D7 lead finder list?
It's interesting because there's this like delicate balance between questioning yourself and asking like, why am I doing this thing? Whilst also, which is different to doubt. Different to doubt. It's more questioning yourself, okay, why am I doing this thing? And then also being confident that you're doing the right thing. You know, it's like you got to have that confidence of doing the right thing. And then whilst also balancing that, okay, well, am I doing the right thing? You know, kind of questioning that. There's this kind of like this kind of dichotomy between it, which is
I think
like
it's also it's more than just confidence. I think I like to call it delusional confidence because especially as a beginner, you don't have anything to prove. Like if you're trying to explain this to like an old school, like your mom or something, it's like you're speaking you're speaking fairy dust. So it's like, yeah.
You're exactly right, bro. I would, me personally, I was not able to explain my vision to my parents, which is why I kind of use college as a way to kind of keep them off my back. Like I was going to college, I was studying to become a mechanical engineer, but really low key, I was working on my businesses that I was on here. You know, college was just a way for them to get them off my back. And even sometimes it's not easy to explain to people. Not everybody can have that vision. So yeah, you're exactly right. You gotta have this sort of delusional confidence in yourself to tell your family that I'm going all in on marketing. You know, I'm gonna quit this job. You know, I really do see a potential future in my marketing, my business, my X, Y, and Z. You know,
the thing is, we're all delusional though. It's the thing. Like everyone's delusional. Even it's like like how do you want to see your delusion? You want to see your delusion in an optimistic view where you think you're going to be, live the best life you possibly can live, or you're going to be delusional and think that you're going to be realistic and live a realistic life, to or another word, mediocre, and live a life that you don't want to live. It's like. And it's like if you generally want to live that life, that's completely fine because you're living in accordance to your credo. Like you are, if you generally want to just, just work 9 to 5, chill, smoke a joint, have a girlfriend, do your thing, like that's completely okay. I think a lot of people, and it all ties down to authenticity, doesn't it? Like I always like everything seems to always tie down to, is this who you genuinely are? And only you know that internally. It's like an internal feeling of like, am I living in accordance to my heart? Like, does my heart say yes or no when I'm doing a certain thing? And yeah, so because I'll notice myself judge people for their actions and what they do until I realize like, and it's something that I've learned recently, like kind of how I come across, especially to old people in my life. And then I think to myself, well, actually, you probably want to do that. That's probably the life that you want to live, and that's okay. That's probably the life that you. It's, do you know what I mean? In that sense,
it's also it's hard too because when you're first starting out, you don't know if you should like listen to your soul too. Like me personally, I kind of struggled with that. I didn't know what I want when I really first started out. I didn't know if I should even like listen to myself. I don't know what that was. But it was truly only until I actually did start listening to my soul, did start listening to what I feel was like right, that I really started becoming way more successful and living a life that was actually worth living.
Yeah, I was gonna say that is like
straight from the book, really quickly. That point comes straight from the book Reality Transurfing. Exactly the same. I found your thing, and that's why I found that book so useful. Daniel, I'll let you go ahead with that. I know it's like that's
yeah, no, I
was
pretty much just gonna say the same thing. Like
yeah.
And also when we're like, because our soul, it's like everyone has that where they know, they intuitively their soul knows, but they're put in the system where they're told that they don't know. They're told they're imperfect and that
that's what it is.
Someone else is right. Yeah, and it creates this like it's sad to see other people in that, but are you gonna waste your energy on being sad about other people, or are you gonna realize that everyone else is busy? There's a quote that from Tim Ferriss that says this, well, everyone's busy aiming for base hits. It makes it easier to hit a home run. And it's so perfect. just
Yeah,
less
it's
competition.
like it's like layers, right? It's like layers because yeah, as you said, like we're given a number, we're given a name, we're given all this stuff. It's like everyone's just imposing things on you as you're when you're born, you're growing up. People's opinions, parents' opinions, this, that, and the other, society, everything just imposing things on you like
Trying to tell
layers
you
of
what
an
to
onion.
do.
Yeah, just telling you what to do and who to be and what to think. And then it's a big part of the game is to unpeel, the layers of the onion, as I say, right? Use that Shrek
Mhm.
analogy, right? He talks about onions of layers, but really peeling all that back, and then you
Mhm.
find the core, and then that core is who you are, and then and that's in here. It's the heart. So it's like this feeling. It's not all up here because as much as it is a psychological game, it's also a game of following your intuition and that's hard to explain to people. I think a lot of people who don't understand that the heart stuff, people either kind of just get it or they don't until they do, And it's like
Mhm.
you have accordance, you derive accordance and mind together, and then you're able to consciously direct yourself in the area of life that you intend to be in, is yours because you deserve it because it's yours. And it's
And
tying into what you
that's the whole stepping back thing that you were saying, Blade, is like being able to step back and look at the whole system and not just singling out these individual parts. Because you told me this quote actually. It's like your soul creates, your mind tells, and your body does. And you need to be
I'll
able
say
to
that.
step back and look at the entire system and realize that it's this ecosystem where if one part goes, the whole thing falls. It's about that balance.
Bro, I'm so glad you said that. I was literally about to say the same thing. I'm so glad you said that. It's so true though. It's so
Yeah.
fucking true. And
That's an
it's
entrepreneurial trait. That's a natural trait of an entrepreneur to be able
Mhm.
to do that, to be able to see things from a bird's eye view, to be a multifaceted individual, to be somebody
Mhm.
who's able to. They say I got tied up on this for a while, and I wonder what you think about this, Blade, my friend. Like, so there's a phrase they say: the jack of all trades, master of none. But then
Mhm.
master of one is also master of none in a way in which if your entrepreneurs are usually jack of all trades, right? And what do you believe as an entrepreneur specifically will make you more successful to be a jack of all trades in terms of being able to know you have a niche but you do all the things within that niche, right? You do all the things that you need to do within that business to make it run, versus kind of being a master of one where it's just like you just got one thing, or speciality is one thing. What would you feel like is a more what do you feel like reigns more true to you?
See, that's kind of like difficult too. Because I'm just thinking about this. Like, what if during Corona, I got this $47 product, this course, and then a course, a snapshot, and then I hop on a call with people. I'm thinking about it in terms of like three different price points. And if I were to only offer one of those price points, I know significantly I would not have made as much money as I did. So I
Mm,
believe that in the beginning, yeah, you should definitely not to pick all niches because that's where the jack of all trades kind of comes in, that quote. But you should do it up to a certain extent because I can definitely imagine that if you are a type of agency coming into a space and you want to work with every single niche, that's gonna be very, very difficult to be able to drive the results that you want to drive for your client, that they're gonna keep that's gonna allow them to keep on paying you the retainer on and on and on. But if
mm,
you were to master one niche and master that one niche really well, you'll be able to get those clients and keep them on because you're providing them an excellent service. But then
mm,
when you're first starting out, you kind of do need to be a jack of all trades in that niche because you
mm,
need to know, because you're not going to have the money to be able to pay out for somebody to set up your tracking, set up domains, DNS, to do copywriting, graphics,
mm.
X, Y, and Z, all these different things. So you really do have to have a good understanding of everything, at least until you're able to then hire it out. So
And
it's
I wonder if that still reigns true even on a macro level, right? As you get larger and you start making some really good money, you start to make millions with one business. It's like, okay, now do you branch to a point where you set yourself up, you're making millions from your business, from this one business in this one model. Are you going to still be that jack of all trades in the sense of, oh, you've got your business. It's always going to be making money. It's a cash flow business. But now you can branch out to crypto. Now you can branch out to this. You can branch out in terms of just kind of being multifaceted in that aspect. I wonder if that still reigns true for whenever you reach this kind of like new milestone, you're able to kind of be a jack of all trades in a way, and kind of over time you kind of narrow yourself in. I don't know. It's interesting.
I feel like you always have to have a general understanding of how your entire ecosystem is going, but the more that you kind of go up on that ladder, the more successful you get. I do find myself thinning or doing less and less work. You know, I find myself hiring way more stuff out. So to kind of answer that question, I can't speak for the people that are making $1 million months, because I'm not just there yet, but I can speak for a little bit before that. And the way I can say is that the more money you make, 100% undoubtedly, the more you're going to be subbing out. You know, so for example, when I had my crypto Valify company, it was my biggest company that I ever built. You know, in this terms, we had 4 or 5 people, well, 4 and then me, that are the more so the main co-founders. And as we were making more and more money, I found that I did less and less, you know, customer communication. I did less and less talking to Discord. I did less and less talking to my team. I did less and less write out blogs. I did more so allocating marketing budgets. You know what I mean? So I wasn't necessarily the person actually putting out the ads, the Twitter ads. I wasn't actually the person creating the influencer relationships for influencer marketing. I wasn't necessarily the guy in the Discord talking on Discord. I wasn't necessarily the guy doing the Discord bots anymore. At first, when you first started out that company, I had to. But then as we started making more and more money, I was able to then hire people that are actually better at my role at communicating with a Discord community. I hired mods because they're better at talking to people than me. Well, I don't want to say that. I'm pretty good, but they're pretty good. They're more consistent than me. I hired people that are better at running Twitter ads than me because they just have a lot more experience with bigger budgets than me. And I also hired out agencies to be able to decrease the time I was taking networking with other influencers to promote the Valify Discord. So to answer that question, the more and more successful I became, is the more I was able to then position myself more so as a manager to allocate resources accordingly, less of the person that was actually doing the work.
Well,
Yeah, so it's really
becoming the boss instead of the hustler, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, and I think something I heard from that is you're leveraging your strengths now. Before, it was sort of necessary to be a jack of all trades. This like because we're just sort of put in like a matrix where we need to sort of navigate that. Same way your family, you had to navigate the whole college thing and just sort of navigate that system. And I think of it like that. You have to be the jack of all trades in the beginning and sort of navigate that. And then eventually you sort of build up the freedom to be able to start outsourcing and leveraging your strengths and getting people to do sort of like the dirty work.
I said, so you can focus on the more high ticket jobs, the more high paying. You know, as this resource allocation manager, I guess we can kind of call it, you know, as the company was making more and more money, I was making more of a monthly net. I was doing, I guess, smarter work. You know, while prior to that, I was just engaging the community, talking with influencers. But now I was hiring people that are actually smarter than me. So the more we kind of became more successful, the more I did more valuable work in terms directly equated to the amount of money I was making. The more and Elon Musk said this great too. You're paid directly in correlation to the complexity of the problem that you solve. As in the bigger the problem you solve, as in the more value you're able to provide in this problem, the bigger the solution that you have, the more money you're going to get paid. So in the very beginning, you're hustling and bustling, you're under 10K a month, you're doing everything, you know, you're not making as much money. But then when you start making those 20, 50, 100K months, you're definitely not making graphics. You're definitely not worrying about too much emails. You're not worrying about customer communication. You're not worrying about thumbnails, especially. You're more so worrying about making sure these bigger deals close. That's what I'm doing mainly. Is I'm going through making sure I have these bigger deals, making sure they close, and I'm making sure I'm just filming content. My 2 jobs right now is to film content. Actually, 3 jobs: film content, keep my communities going, and then close more deals that I have in the pipeline. I'm no
Yeah.
longer editing. I'm no longer making graphics. I'm no longer doing customer communication. I'm no longer doing all these different things. I'm more so doing the bigger picture things. And then, yeah, I got to make sure that the overall bigger picture in terms of all of my VAs, my content guys, my editors or graphic designers, my deliverables, all the team that handles all the deliverables in my agency. I got to make sure all those are working. I know how to do those individual jobs. I know how to make a funnel. I know how to edit videos. I know how to create graphics. I know how to create workflows, AI prompt. I can code HTML, JavaScript, all the shit. I can do all that shit, but I don't need to anymore because
Yeah, and I
all
think
that shit
that's
takes
that's
time.
that's sort of like the natural evolution of it. Like if you look at anyone like Elon Musk, they're not doing fucking customer service or whatever.
Exactly.
They're doing what can pay them the most, like what solves the biggest problems. And I think it's
Hmm.
noticing, being able to navigate that and realizing that that's just part of the process of going through that period where you have to become a jack of all trades and you have to do some things you don't necessarily like doing. And yeah, just realizing that's part of the process. You don't
I
get into
wonder,
this for
I wonder
comfort.
if you as well, really quickly. I wonder if you leverage, especially when hiring people, you leverage how because I like to think of things in terms of psychology and personality. And I see how I can kind of make sense of this is that the people that you hire those are the type of individuals that you make sure that those people are different to you. Because an entrepreneur, for example, to hire quite a creative individual for something where they should really be a bit more kind of conscientious and quite like different to you, like hiring people who complement where you're weak, basically.
Hmm.
Like I'm thinking kind of like in that sense of just those
Yeah.
those types of
So
individuals.
I've definitely made my fair share of mistakes when hiring people, no doubt about that. But you do bring up a very good point because the people that I still have working with me years on end are the people that I have developed those different type of relationships. Are those people that I know their family? Are those people that I
Mm,
know their kids? Are those people that I will talk to? I like talking to those people. Are those people that I know will show up? It's those, the most successful people that I've hired are the people that have families, they need to work, and have proven to me that they need to work. They've proven to me that they have kids, that they need to work. I want to say I want just about every single one of my virtual assistants, in terms of appointment setting, customer communication, graphic
mm,
design, editing, all that stuff. Most of them, my most successful hires are single moms from the Philippines. And there's a reason
mm,
for it. It's because they're single moms and they don't have a husband in their family anymore. So they have to work to pay for their kids to go to school, for medication, for food. So I have this one chick that has been working for me working with me for around 5 or 6 years. Her name is Hannah.
mm,
Amazing, amazing woman, amazing chick. She has a kid that she's putting through private school. Her cousins live with her. I don't really know what happened to the husband, but she lives in the Philippines. And I quite literally hired her and all of her cousins because they all proved to me that they have to work, that they need to
mm,
work. And those people, I have the best relationships with those people, because I feel as though just like you said in the very before, I don't have a lot of friends anymore. I do have people
mm,
that make money with me and that we become friends with, you know.
mm.
So her, I have an excellent relationship with. All my VAs, I have a freaking amazing relationship with because we both make money together and we like making money together. So a good relationship just naturally forms on there, you know. And
And
especially when you hire people that need to work that have that hustle drive, because not everybody has that hustle drive. People are comfortable. They're okay with being an employee. But I find that single moms in the Philippines, they do have the hustle drive because
Yeah, that makes so much sense.
they do want to provide everything and more for their sons. So Hannah is way more willing to do not just 9 to 5 with me, but work overtime sometimes because
And I,
she's thinking like, okay, cool. If I do an extra hour with Blade, you know what? That's an extra like $5 or $10 I can earn with him. I can buy X, Y, and Z for my son. It's not about her. It's about what she can buy for her son and for her family.
Mm.
and it's
You know what I
you were
mean?
saying this earlier about being able to spot hunger in your clients and get the most efficient clients or workers for you. Like what you were saying about seeing people posting ads and really showing that they're hungry to work. That's exactly what you were looking for in your VAs, and that's a cool
Mhm.
little connection, I think. And I
Exactly.
just wanted to this, go ahead.
I was gonna say, now that you're talking about finding hungry people, I was over here, I was looking through one of my WhatsApp groups, and I found this guy a little week back, no, a week or two back. His name is Roberto. Shout out to you if you watch this on a recap. And I was talking to him. We're talking about some business strategy like this. He really hasn't closed too many solar deals, but by meeting this guy, I gave him some insights on how to optimize his social media. I'm trying to find the text right now. But like now, because I talk to this guy all the time, I can't really see if he says 8 kilowatts, 8.8 kilowatt system signed. You know, by meeting people hungry like this, and by me being able to kind of show what works for me, implement it in his business, it's helping him. He also shares stuff with me as well too. It helps me out as well too. But the people that are hungry, I'm trying to say, people that you find on these Facebook groups, these WhatsApp groups that are actually hungry, those 100% become the best clients, the best employees or partners or virtual assistants for you. But there is no one size fits all in terms of hiring or in terms of finding those people. It
Mm.
completely comes down to you kind of looking at those people and feeling in your soul like, yo, is that a legit post? Those people like actually wanting more clients. You look through their social media. For example, Ray, one of my contractors I'm still working with, him. I looked at his Facebook. I looked at his Snapchat. I looked at his Yelp. He was working in these Facebook groups trying to get more and more work. So then I called him up, and through calling him, I felt like I can connect with this guy, like vibing with him, talking with this guy was like easy with him. It was natural. It was a good vibe, which is why we literally went to the strip club together. In terms of the other guy, the other example I gave you, Henrik, we hopped on the call. We never went to the strip club together. We never really hung out. I never really met the guy. That deal, that 5K deal I gave him was all done through the phone, and it didn't work out. So it was my mistake, but it made me learn that like you need to listen to your soul on this. Because when you're doing
Mm.
things, finding these contractors, finding these people on here, you know, what does your soul kind of tell you about this guy? It's crazy to think, but your soul really does know what type of people other people are. your
Mm.
your soul does have a great instinct on what type of people are. So if you look at somebody's Facebook, their WhatsApp group, whatever, like for example, this Roberto guy I just found 2 weeks ago, and I was hustling. I was looking at Facebook WhatsApp groups. I found this guy, hopped on a call with them. I vibed with him completely. We had an hour-long discussion. Like we gave information back and forth, and now he's closing deals like crazy, But I would not have really gone out of my way to help this guy. I would not have gone out of my way because he didn't really have a lot of cash up front. So if it was a normal guy who my soul did not kind of match with, ain't no way I would have been working with the guy because he didn't really have a lot of cash with him. So it's kind of would have been a waste of time for me. But I felt in Roberto that, hey, this guy wants to work. I see him posting on WhatsApp groups. I see him hustling, trying as hard as he can, but I clearly see that he's just missing a little optimization in his social media. He just isn't posting on his WhatsApp stories enough. And he just doesn't have a good sales management system that allows him to re-nurture those clients, re-nurture past leads, and reactivate those and bring them into customers and sign deals. So then I gave him a massive trial, a massive freebie. I signed him up on Go High Level, set his shit up, And now he's closing fucking deals. And guess what? He fucking paid me. And he's gonna pay me even more now too, because I did that for him, you know? And it all comes down to because I had a good feeling with this guy.
Identify that opportunity, seeing an
Exactly.
opportunity. That's the big word here is opportunity. So we're seeing that dude as understanding like there's that vibing connection on an intuitive level that you felt was right and didn't feel was right, knew was right because the heart just knows. The intuition knows. It doesn't think, it doesn't rationalize, it just knows, right? You knew it would work and identified the opportunity and took advantage or took advantage of that opportunity to do that, made it work for him to the point where he's now paying you, and that works. So that's very smart. Yeah, very interesting. Kind of how like
we always, I feel as though we just about always know what we need to do. It's just taking that actual action to do it. Like we all know we gotta call up our past leads that hasn't closed last week. We know we gotta do that. But like that, it's friction. It caused a lot of friction. Like we don't really want to call those people up because you gotta talk to somebody. You gotta have that yes, no. He might tell you no, you might get a rejection, you might be afraid of that. We know exactly what we need to do. We know we gotta make content. We know we gotta do X, Y, and Z, but it's taking that first step to actually do it. Taking that responsibility to actually make that move.
The soul knows. The soul knows. The soul knows the mind. I forget what it was. I forget the rest. But the first part is
soul knows the
mind rationalizes.
Mind rationalizes, and the body does.
Yeah, and it's really that. It's like when you understand that, however you see it, we are all connected in one way or another. Whether it's like we come from the same source, or we're all in the same bodies. However you see it, there's no way to neglect that, and that we're all one unity as the human race. And in that, there's like a spiritual thing behind that, where since we're all connected, we all know. You could just look. I could just see through the computer screen. Like it's just like we know. It's weird. There's no way to explain it. But if you don't follow through with that, and if you have your spirit, your mind, and then your body, and if your spirit knows, but then your body and your mind are going opposite and going against the current, you're fucked. You need to just accept that first thought, that intuitive thought, and realize that that's the truth, and sort of just go with it, and don't let the mind and the body disrupt your soul's intuitive feeling.
And I love it's those three things. It's the spirit, the mind, and the body. And we see that in all religions as well too. We see, God, the Holy Spirit, and Jesus. God, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit. We see it probably in Buddhism as well too. And society kind of tries to separate you from there. They kind of try to say like, hey, don't rely on your spirit, even though that's really what you should rely on. You should listen to your freaking spirit.
That's all we are. We're just spirit in a body, bro. Like
exactly. And just like you said as well too, brother, is that we're all freaking connected. So the best thing that would probably know the right answer is like literally your freaking spirit, but society and doubt and media kind of portrays that as a kind of like a bad thing, or that you shouldn't do that. But obviously, as we all know too as well, that it's a reason. There's a reason behind that.
Yeah.
The more they kind of push you away from that, the more they kind of create that separation between rich and like the poor. The more the richer get richer. Exactly.
Yeah, they tell you need to go to a doctor to know what's going on in your body. They tell you need to go somewhere. Like it's like it's bro. Yeah.
And they say there's a phrase. I think it might be in the Bible. I think it's in the Bible or in some religious text or just even a spiritual text. But it's like for those who have everything, more will be given, or for those who have nothing, more will be taken. And I thought it was very interesting. It's like we have, for those people that understand, they know, they have the knowledge, they have everything that they need, more will be given to them as a result. And the more that we can collect, the more that we more knowledge we obtain, the more we're able to think, and it's like upward spiral, downward spiral. It comes a point when after a certain amount of experience and certain amount of kind of, you read enough books, a certain amount of experience where you kind of just know, you reach a point where you're here. Let's say you're here, right? And here's like a negative place that you're in, and you're going to this positive place. And along this positive place, you reach this wall, right? This is like a wall in the middle. You get to this positive place. Let's say things start to go to shit again, but you hit back here into this wall. This wall is saving you from the pit of despair, which is over here, right? Because this is kind of like the safety net.
It's the hygiene standard. That's like
the hygiene standard,
yeah.
and the safety net of knowledge that comes through experience and comes through, I guess, accumulating other people's experience, which is what you essentially get from reading books. You know, it's just accumulating wisdom from other people. And it's definitely something I've noticed in my life. You know, it's like especially when it comes to business, it's like it comes to a point where it's like you know enough, where you know you're always going to be good, and you know how to sell. You're never going to be broke again a day in your life.
It's like the water bottles on the beach.
Yeah, 100%. It's interesting.
Some guy to talk to. But yeah, absolutely. Fuck yeah. Yo, my guys, one of my clients want to hop on a quick call with me real quick. And I got another one after this. But I freaking love chopping up with you guys. It's awesome.
Yeah, this is dope.
Good. Good, man.
Yeah, man.
I've learned a lot.
Me too. I love talking to you guys. I always learn so much from you guys. But my guy's blowing up my phone right now. I was like, I need help. Great.
Yeah, that's fine, man. No, it's been good. It's been a long one as well. I think we've been good. We've been on here for about 2.5 hours or something. It's good. And it's been very useful. So thank you for all the help that you've given us today, because it's been very invaluable, knowledge for us to be able to kind of utilize for our staff. And it's been cool.
I appreciate all the love and support, my guys, and I hope we all just crush it this year.
Yeah,
yes,
man.
We will.
It's definite. It's written in the stars, my friend. We know we all deserve it. That's the main thing. We all deserve it. That's why we're doing it.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
all right, my guys.
Peace.
I see you guys later, guys. Peace out.
See ya.
See you, brother. Take care.